What is going on, YouTube people? Northeast Ohio Cards and Comics here, back, I say, after ripping the box of G.I. Joe. So, if you missed that, it'll be up on the old page there. But we ripped the box of G.I. Joe for hitting 10K. And as I said at the beginning of that live stream, thanks everybody. We hit the big 10K subs. Took a little longer than I thought it would. And I don't mean that in regards to the amount of time. I actually never thought I would get to 10K subs, to be quite honest with you. But we were cruising for a while there. Like, subs were pouring in, and then when the market took a downturn, everyone's channels slowed down in regards to subs because there weren't as many new people coming into the hobby. So it is what it is, but we got there. That's all that matters. But like I said, when I started this whole kit and caboodle, a year and a half ago almost now, if you would have told me I had 10K subs by the following football season, I would have called you a liar. I'd have called you a liar for sure. So once again, per usual on the live streams, nothing specific scheduled. I did send the invite out to a few different people, so we'll see if anyone pops in. We may have some special guests. We may not. We'll see what happens. But until they do, geez. Oh man. I'm gonna let him marinate backstage for a minute. Make him sweat. I see you back there. See you waving your hands around. Just check 90 MU is at 700 to 750. 92 Lee X-Men 180 a box. Look like a buy. The problem is there's nowhere to grade them. There's still nowhere to grade them. So, that part gets tricky. X-Men 92 Jim Lee is a really fun rip. Really fun rip. There is a Series 2. Is there Series 2 boxes? I'm intrigued. Opticalos are the most underrated card in existence, in my opinion. On that note, we'll bring in Dakota for his thoughts. Opticalos, go.
Well, I was copying and pasting something. Opticalos, yeah, I saw your take that you really like it, and I guess you said Steve really likes Opticalos as well. And I don't disagree. Like, I think they're beautiful cards. I actually like your more nuanced take that 2018 and then 2019 look really good. I agree with that a lot. But I also like, at least from football's perspective, I like 2016 and 2017. I think they look pretty good. And even this year, I mean, Football Optic really is a good-looking card. And I think, mostly year to year, it beats the appeal anyway of Prism. I appeal.
I agree. I will circle back on this in a second. But first, congrats to Dakota from Sports Cards Anonymous. Hit 3K over the weekend.
Nah, thank you so much. I appreciate it. And congratulations.
It's a weekend of milestones.
What'd you say?
I said it's a weekend of milestones.
It is, yeah. It's funny how that works.
So Dakota getting some love in the chat here, unfortunately. What's up, Global Sports Card Investor again? Yeah, I think with the air quotes downfall of Select, I think the big winner is Opticalos, to be quite honest. Like I think with Select was kind of like starting to establish itself as like the 1A on a lot of cards, like especially basketball. And I think with the favor kind of turning in the hobby against Select, I think Opticalos are about to do really well.
I know you disagree with this, but I still think Mosaic Color is going to get a lot of love because it's the first to hit. I think it's going to be a big deal when I think Mosaic drops in 2 weeks for football and Prism doesn't come out to maybe December or something. So we're going to have 3 months of trading in Mosaic. You can't just keep doing that year over year and Prism still be the flagship. It's going to become Mosaic.
I mean, I don't know. I'm going to still disagree with that take. I like Mosaic from 17-18. I love Mosaic from 17-18.
Well, that's different. I mean, it's a different.
Yeah, it's a different beast. It's an insert set.
That's fair. When I'm saying Mosaic, I mean specifically the new series of Mosaic that it's a standalone set starting in 2019 basketball.
Yeah, Cards and Comics gets it. It's fine. They do look nice. I'm not going to lie. Some of the cards look really nice. especially like the base silver mosaic, I think really looks really good. And some of the colors do look really good. You're not wrong, but I think to say that it's going to surpass Prism is rough.
I mean,
Because
historically,
the base design is god awful.
yeah, I agree with that. I mean,
And the base design being god awful, I think holds the setback.
I trashed Mosaic when it came out. And now that the year's over, I'm like, well, actually, it might have been the best product released. And then again, historically in the hobby, the first, premium product, we'll say chromium product in today's hobby that is in pro uniforms tends to be considered the flagship. I just don't see how they can continue to release Mosaic in mid-September and then wait for Prism to come out in mid-December and expect December to be the flagship. And last thing, Prism was horrible too. Prism was worse than Mosaic, which is hard to believe. I mean, Optic, to your point, Optic was honestly the best one produced, at least from a base standpoint.
Optic is always criminally underrated, in my opinion. I mean, there's you're not wrong. Like, these cards look great. Like, I love this Luca. I pack pulled and graded this. It's a second year. It looks fantastic. It looks great. But I don't think I could sit here and say that it's gonna, overtake Prism. And I have a Zion as well. I pack pulled this. I know it's basketball, not football, but I don't have any Mosaic football. But I do think, to go back to his original question, Optic Hollows, like when you look at the population count on Optic Hollows and how good they look and how condition sensitive they are, like their pop counts are so low. Like Trae Young's Optic Hollow PSA 10 is like pop 150. That's like nothing. That's like literally nothing.
Does that continue in? I guess we don't have 2020 basketball yet. That'll be interesting to see, but what about 2019?
It's too hard to say on
2019
because we don't really know yet. You know what I mean?
I'm just curious. Yeah, I mean,
it is. I'm looking at Morant off screen here and Zion.
Well, because like when you talk about basketball Optic, and I really like this. I talked about just their general design. They always do those dark backgrounds and they highlight the player. I think that looks awesome. And then I can imagine that in a hollow, the scratches are probably easy to see and it probably hurts the grade. And they're probably easy to scratch too.
Yeah. Morant and Zion are both like pop 450, which is still, it's way more than 18, but like compared to Prism, that's really low.
Oh yes, nothing. I mean, like, what's a Prism Silver Ja or Zion 9 and up? I mean, it's probably like
2,500, I think.
2,500. Man,
I think it's like over 2K for the pop on those. Might even be a little bit higher. I think Lucas is like 2K pop. Speaking of a lover of Optic Hollows.
Oh yeah, what's up?
What's up, Flipping Steve?
Yeah, I heard you guys were talking about Optic Hollows, so
so Steve came on the flex.
Got a few.
Optic Hollow pump and dump confirmed here.
Confirmation. While I have two offers and a bid in on 3 currently listed.
Yeah, you've been getting priced out, right? You've been chasing the Mitchells and the Tatums, and you're getting bid up on them.
Well, the Mitchells aren't pushing too high. I really don't want to pay over 500 for a Mitchell, although I still believe there's a lot of room on that. 500 on a Mitchell, I still believe, is a really good price. The Tatums, the last couple days have gotten up there, but there's a couple actually listed below recent comp that got some offers in on. So we'll see how that works.
And I know people in chat are talking about, I see Global Sports Card Investor talking about, you're big with me, right, Steve, on 17 and 18 Mosaic as well, and 16.
Oh, yeah. I have some of that stuff too. Well, one of them is coming from Australia, so I haven't got it yet. But I've been looking for color in that. I like that stuff, but I haven't bought a lot of it because there's no auctions on it. And the buy it now seem to be high. Yeah.
Did you say color in Mosaic for 16 and 17?
16, 17, and 18 all have color.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, here's a PSA 9 18 red tray.
Yeah, and there's a 17 green Tatum that goes for a pretty penny.
The green
not
Tatum
Prism levels, but it does well for itself, for sure. There we go. We'll go that way.
I never knew you had that Browns thing up there.
There's a Mosaic silver.
It's usually cropped out. Yeah, I got a little Browns border up at the top there.
Yeah, I heard Dakota talking about the Mosaic.
Yeah.
Do you see Mosaic, like modern Mosaic, ever catching Prism, Steve?
I don't think so. Because there's too many products ahead of it that'll catch Prism before Mosaic catches Prism. I mean, Prism would have to fall to like number 4 or 5 for Mosaic to surpass it. Now, with that being said, could it pass Prism if Prism falls? But do I think Mosaic will be the number 1 chase card? I don't believe that'll ever be the case.
I think just a fair, I guess maybe to add to your point, I'm talking about specifically football. When you look at basketball, Mosaic's still not out, right, for 2020 and 2021.
No, I don't know what's going on with that.
Exactly. So I don't know what they're planning. My whole argument about Mosaic is that, one, it looks good, retrospect to everything else in 2020 football. But if they're going to put it out 3 months ahead of Prism football every year, it's gonna have an impact on what it's viewed as.
By the time Mosaic football, we catch Prism football, they won't have the license anymore and it won't exist.
But who knows what Fanatics, I mean, you talked about that.
Yeah.
Right? We're all just kind of guessing. I mean, right now, my guess would be Fanatics just honestly picks up and runs what both companies are doing. And I mean, maybe, that's the assumption they buy both companies. Maybe they buy Upper Deck. Obviously, who knows? But I don't know. We'll see.
I'm going to jump around in comments a little bit. This is probably a good question for Steve, because I know you try to do this all the time. What's a good rule of thumb when trading up? How much more in value would be the norm? Example, 4K card. Thanks. Do you usually look to trade up or trade down, or you just trade all around, Steve?
I do whatever. Yeah, I do both. If I'm in a card that I'm having a hard time moving, I'll trade out of it. I'll try to move it, then I'll try to trade out of it into something I think is more liquid. Sometimes that involves trading down into smaller cards that are easier to move, as long as I get the same amount of value or even a little bit more. If I'm going to trade down, it's going to be more work for me. So that'll be my argument. Okay. It's going to be more work for me to move 4 cards, 4 $200 cards as opposed to 1 $800 card. So I'm going to ask for maybe $950 in value.
Yeah, that makes sense. What about you, Dakota? You do a lot of trade up, trade down, or you just mostly buy what you want?
If I'm looking to trade up, I guess it's pretty much even, because I'm consolidating upwards. Trading down, I mean, I really haven't traded down much. I mean, if I'm trading down, the way I trade down is probably just through selling stuff on eBay and then using my cash.
Mm-hmm. I've done a lot of trading up recently, but it was a mixture of more so kind of what you just described, of selling off a lot of base and buying like hollows and stuff. Like a lot of it weren't trades. Sometimes I'd like throw a couple base cards into a deal to like knock maybe like $100 or $200 off like a $900 card to make it a little bit more reasonable. But I've recently had like the last couple months like a trimming of the inventory, if you will. Like I sold a lot of base cards and took that money and bought like the optic hollows and stuff that I've been picking up a lot lately.
Yeah.
My most recent trade was a trade down with Dustin. It was actually the Russell Wilson auto that I got at National Trade Night. If you remember that, I traded that down with him. And you remember
traded
that card.
Down for it, Steve?
I traded down into smaller cards. So I had a 2012 BGS 9.5 auto 10. It was a Russell Wilson, basically a rookie auto, but it was a Panini Elite Inscriptions auto. Mm-hmm. It was hard to find comps on it. We comped it out at about $1,100 because that's what I was into it on trade night. I gave up $1,100 worth of miscellaneous stuff for it. But Dustin really wanted it. I didn't want to be tied into it. Now I could have sold it and listed it and waited for it to sell. But because he wanted it, I made the trade with him and got into cards that I think will move quicker. And I wanted to get out of football into basketball. I mean, the 3 cards that I ended up getting was a Giannis Hoops PSA 10, a Trae Young
that's
Chinese New Year PSA 10, and another Mitchell Optic Hollow. So with these also being at what I thought were probably their basement, I feel like I can move these 3 cards quicker than I can move that Russell Wilson. Or I can move 1 or 2 of these and keep one. And plus, I think these will grow a little bit quicker. He got the better individual card if you're looking to be a collector or a card that you might want to put away for a long period of time. But for me, I got the stuff that I could easily sell and probably will get more value out of this stuff within the next 2 months than I would have out of the Russell Wilson.
That Trae Young made me think there is no Revolution football, right? I'm like not forgetting product.
It's unparalleled. Well, it's similar. It's not this exact same, but it's very similar.
That seems like a missed boat. I really like Revolution as like a base level product.
I'm almost certain it's copy paste, same product, different name, because they use the same colors. They use the same, like the Astro, the Fractal. They use all that stuff. I mean, it's the same design.
Yeah, Revolution looks good. I've always liked it, but I didn't realize how good it looked until I was just showing cards to the camera and saw the reflection of it. And I was like,
Revolution looks great. I have a Revolution.
It popped more than any of the others. So let's see. I don't know.
There you go. I think they're
Mosaic Red or Revolution. I mean,
they both look good.
Yeah, I mean, because they're paper cards, they can have, damage issues. And frankly, especially 2018, 2019, those were cheap packs, and they got kind of beat up. So, I mean, getting those things graded high, I think there's a lot of good value there.
Yeah, I love my Revolution, Luca. Joel asks in chat, he's on the Mookie Betts train. I'm like not. I talked about it in my video this morning. I think if you're willing to put the money in and sit on it and forget about it for like 4 months, I think there's going to be some really good deals on some baseball stuff here in a month.
If you like Juan Soto and stuff, I would start.
Yeah, specifically Soto, Vlad, Bichette, those sorts of guys, like the non-playoff guys. I'm going to have my eyes on a lot of Vlad stuff, I think, heading into the offseason. His prices are dipping already, and I wouldn't mind getting back in on some of his stuff.
Yeah, it'd be a lot of the same guys that you saw hot this year coming into the season, the young guys that everybody loves, and they're the guys that are kind of either their teams are not pushing much here, coming down towards the wild card race, or they were injured or whatever it may be. The hype's died off. It's becoming early and earlier time to get into your other sports. I mean, so I was into basketball so long ago, back pre-national, because these cards have already moved. As I was watching your G.I. Joe rip, I was watching another player that I've been looking at. His cards are up. His base prism's up 20%. You'll see it if you look it up or if you throw your graph up or whatever, but it's Michael Porter Jr. Base prisms the last week of August were at $100 to $105, and now they're up over $130. I know
I mentioned that real quick this morning.
Oh, okay. Yeah, $20 to $25 doesn't seem like a lot, but I mean, that's like a 20% increase in a week. So it's trickling down from player to player.
I think what happens a lot too, and I've commented on this the last few videos, and I've started looking back longer than 7 days. I think when you look at it in a very micro level, you miss a lot of stuff. Because I think a lot of these players have been going up like 3% a week since like June. Mm-hmm. And if you're just like, oh, the last 7 days, this guy's up 3%, like that's nothing, whatever. Like that card's barely moving. But then all of a sudden you realize, oh, wait, it's gone up for 8 straight weeks at 3%. And next thing you know, it's up 30% before you even realize what happened.
Yeah, and that's what's happening. Like the smaller ones, they're like at $100, and then they're selling for 105, and then they're selling for 110, and then all of a sudden they're pushing 120, and you're like, well, yeah, they went up slowly, but all of a sudden now you're in $25 more into your pocket if you want that card, as opposed to if you would have gotten it a couple weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, or whatever. Yeah,
and then some idiot YouTuber makes a video about it, and it jumps another $20-$30 or whatever.
I hate those guys.
I know, they're freaking idiots. I don't know who the hell they think they are. Let's see here.
Shout out to 357 in the chat. Appreciate you, brother. Tell your dad thanks for his service.
Anyone have any hot Ohtani takes? I don't know. Do either of you guys even own any Ohtani cards?
I do not. The only Ohtani's
I have one PSA 9 pink that I decided to keep.
Last season when he was injured, I went on a binge of where I was buying one Topps Archives like a week of PSA 10, and they were only like anywhere between $20 to $30, and they were already graded, and they were the Ohtani's, the one with the yellow border, and he's just kind of standing there. It's not a very exciting card, but it was dirt cheap. And I went on a thing where I did a video. I was like, I'm going to buy one of these a week until they get to $50, and then I'm going to stop. Well, after about 5 weeks, they got to $50, and then I stopped. But I had like 5 of them, and then when they got hot, I sold them all for $80. But I was buying them for $30. But now that card is it's worth more than that. But I don't hold for a spike. I just flip when I see the more than doubling my money. I was like, okay, these Ohtani's got to go. He might go out and pull it, throw his elbow out next week. You know what I mean? So
I'm just baffled what to do with him. Like what he is doing is absolutely insane. Mm-hmm. And it's just a matter of like, can he keep this up over multiple seasons, or is this like a unicorn event and he'll never do this again? Because if he keeps doing this his stuff should be like astronomically priced. You know what I mean? Like what he is doing is ridiculous.
Yeah.
Well, it's just interesting because he's a little bit older. So even if he does this for like, let's just say he can replicate this for 6 more years, he's not a Hall of Famer, not in the MLB. And I mean, we can say he's a unicorn and maybe that sneaks him in or something, but statistically, even if he played at this level for another 6 years, he's not a Hall of Famer because he started so later in life. And then the last 3 years, they weren't as impressive. He had injuries, etc.
I don't think he would have to hit the same benchmarks as a normal MLB Hall of Famer. I think he would need to go longer than 6 years, to your point, for sure. But I don't think he needs like the magic 500 home runs, 3,000 hits, stuff like that. But if he gets close enough and he was still been pitching the entire time and pitching decent, like above average, you know what I mean? Like an above average major league pitcher, I feel like that would give him an edge. I don't know. That would be one of those baseball writer debates to endlessly. I just don't know what to do with him. I'm baffled by him. He's ridiculously talented.
Yeah, the big question I have with a player like that is, okay, pitchers can come and go season by season. You can have a Cy Young candidate, the following season come out and lose 12, 15 games. I mean, look at like a Blake Snell type guy. So if he continues to hit great but struggles as a pitcher or vice versa, does that affect his value, or does he just have to be doing well at one thing? Is it built? Is it now he has to do well at both now that he has set this standard, or can he come out and be a below 500 pitcher as long as he's batting 300 and hitting home runs, or can he be a Cy Young Award winner and bat 200? You know what I mean? Or will they just pull him from whatever job he's doing? And if he does get pulled from the lineup as a batter or from the rotation as a pitcher, does that then affect the way the hobby looks at him?
I think he has to be elite at one and good at the other.
I would agree. And looking at the numbers now, I want to change my statement. I want to say if he does this for 6 more years, exactly this for 6 more years, I think he would be in the Hall of Fame. He's not going to hit those metrics, 500 and stuff like that, but it doesn't matter. What he's going to hit or what he's going to get real close to is WAR. And then you're going to argue he did that in a 7-year span as both a hitter and a pitcher. I think he's going to get in if he does that. So 6 more years of this, he gets in. Short of that, it's real sketchy and iffy. And like you said, it goes to the writers. I don't know.
Yeah, the Baseball Hall of Fame stuff's weird. Do you guys have any hot takes on I don't know how big you guys are on like the upcoming NBA rookie class, if you know much about it from Mo here? I actually think it's pretty loaded and it crushes last year's class. Last year's class sucked.
Well, I'll just say, and I'll let Steve speak to it because he probably knows better than me, but I'm psyched because the Rockets have 4 first-round picks and 3 of them look like absolute studs. The other guy looks like a role player guy. And like, just to your point, 3 of those picks were like 14 and later, and they're getting real players there that people are really psyched for. So I do think it's a really deep class. Jalen Green and Cade Cunningham, kind of running that top of that. I'm excited for it, but
I'm going to be honest. I don't prospect in basketball normally until they start playing. Like I don't prospect ahead of time. Now, when I do prospect, but that's meaning players that have had a season under their belt and just haven't developed yet. I might think a player is going to develop. That's my way of prospecting. But straight out of the draft, because I don't watch much college basketball, I might get in a March Madness bracket or something. That's about it. So, yeah, I don't watch the players in college. And Cade Cunningham actually is the only name. You said someone else, and I was like, who's that? But Cade Cunningham's the only name that I know. So, yeah, I don't. I wait for them to come in. I see where they're going to sit with their teams. And then what kind of development they're going to get.
To your point, I'm not looking to run out and buy any of these guys. Like I didn't buy anyone from last year's class either. We all know that these guys are going to come in at super overinflated prices right out the gate anyways. And I think you're better off to buy guys on the dip, like after their first season, like someone that underperformed or maybe didn't get the playing time that thought they were going to. Guys like Kevin Porter Jr. after like during his rookie year, like you could kind of see the talent was there, but he was only playing 10 or 15 minutes a night. So the second he got playing time, he blew up. Guys like that I'll spec on, but I'm not running out and buying the first round pick. But I will say the general hype for this class is going to be good for the hobby because that really helps drive the overall marketplaces. Like when a rookie class comes in extremely hyped, I think it's overall good for the market in general because there'll be a lot of buzz about those guys. But this class is loaded. It's absolutely loaded. This class makes last year's look crazy good.
Yeah,
I'm going to expand this question. Oh, go ahead, Steve.
Okay. No, I was going to say, to your point, I like to sit on the current draft because, like you said, they're overhyped, they're overpriced, and I like to pick some guys that have actually seen play a little bit. But everybody's not putting their money into them because they're really looking into some of the newer guys. That's what I like to do.
To Double's question here, I'm going to expand this out. He says thoughts on Joe Burrow. I'm going to include Justin Herbert in that. Do either of you have any hot takes on those two? My general take has been, and I don't own either one of them, so I have no skin in this game. If I owned Burrow or Herbert, I would be selling both before the season starts. But that's kind of my general take on almost all football. But once again, I have no skin in the game on their cards to say like I am now, I've sold all mine. I didn't have any to begin with. But what are your guys' thoughts on Herbert and Burrow?
You want to go first, Steve? Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, I think they're both too overpriced. Like if I was holding, especially high dollar stuff, I would be selling it off at least enough to either recoup my initial investment and put a little bit in my pocket. And, it depends on how much you do have. Do you have can you sell some and gamble on some? But with me, it's like, okay, if these guys come out in week 1 and throw for 150 yards and 3 interceptions and their team lose, they're really going to have to bounce back. Nobody's going to want their stuff, other than people buying into now what will be a dip. So, preseason movement basically on all my football. There's very few quarterbacks that I would still be holding going in. And in fact, I'm not really holding much of anything. I moved off, especially all my high-end stuff, I moved off of at the National for basketball.
Yeah, and for me, guys, it's weird for me because I really like football, and I've always had I'm always torn keeping my football stuff. I would say at least I'll let my actions speak for themselves. I showed these 2 Burrows off. These are $60 a pop, nothing crazy. They're short print numbered stuff. I've got some mosaic short print variation stuff for both Burrow and Herbert. For both of the guys together, I probably got $500 to $600 in it, and I'm just kind of holding that. That's stuff I'm sitting on. I don't hold. I'm not holding. I don't have any. Kind of, I guess, more common stuff like just a base prism or stuff like that. It's all silver. It's all SP. It's all variation stuff. And it's just, I don't know. I guess I'm kind of specking on them a little bit. And just as players overall, I think Herbert's actually pretty special, and we're going to see that more and more. Burrow is okay. He's a little more mid-tier quarterback, Tony Romo. But the problem is he's surrounded by a bad franchise. Yeah.
I worry more about Burrow's prices than Herbert's. Because I think Burrow has more initial downside early on coming off the injury and the team just not being good. So they could easily struggle. He could play above average and his card prices are going to go down. This is an interesting one from right here. Do you think basketball will see a bigger bump before the season than football has seen to this point, or do you think it'll be based solely on performance? So as we've all discussed across various platforms, the football market has just kind of been flat. It hasn't really gone up much other than guys that had major changes in roles the last 30 to 60 days. But it also hasn't tanked either. So essentially, supply has basically met demand perfectly to this point. There has not been big swings in prices other than, as we had discussed, Dakota, some RPAs have kind of – it looks like RPAs have got more of a run-up than like base and silvers and hollows and stuff like that. But do you think because we're basically, as Steve's mentioned, we're basically in it now. Like if you wanted to buy basketball, in some cases, you've already missed your window at the floor. So do you think that things keep trending that way and we see more run up in prices, or is it going to be these little micro price corrections like we've seen lately with Tatum and prior to that with KD, Luka, and Trey? Steve, we'll throw this one to you first.
I think you're more likely to have a run up in basketball due to the fact that, okay, people don't fear the injury bug as much. So people are going to be buying their players with less fear. Going into football, you're like, do I want to buy said player? I don't want position players to get hurt, And also basketball cards and basketball players, while they are affected by what their team does, it's also very stat driven. It's very production driven. And going into a basketball season, who are going to be your 20-point scorers and things like that. In a football team, and NFL cards are very driven by your wins and your losses. You could be all world fantasy player, but if your team, is 3-7, people are going to start cutting ties with your cards because what's the use in holding them when you don't offer any promise in the playoffs or any chance of being a champion? Where players like we've seen it, Damian Lillard, his cards hold value and they go up every year. Thompson, even when he's hurt, his stuff goes up just based on the fact that he's going to come back and score points and the Warriors will be good again. Different things like that. There's more. It's easier to prospect into a basketball player's performance for that season because they don't have to. It's not as harsh with injuries, and you can buy a guy like Jason Tatum, which I've been doing. He's going to give you 20 points a game, but you're waiting for him to break through to that MVP level. So you kind of know where you're kind of safe at. The stars are going to get their numbers, for lack of a better term, I guess.
Thoughts, Dakota?
Yeah, I would just, Neo and I, we've talked about this a long time ago. And something I have thought that is that, this whole access to data it's new. The hobby hasn't had this before. And we talk about the hobby cyclical, and I still believe that very much. But, I do think that having this much data at our fingertips makes the hobby smarter. And I think that's going to increase the cycle time, or it's going to have some impact on it. And I would say right now, my belief is we saw with football what the change is. Things spike early as people get ready to buy to sell then in August. They buy in the early offseason to sell when the season starts. And we saw a little bit of a buildup in basketball. We didn't see that much though. And I'm not expecting a huge bump for basketball. I do think prices are pretty low right now, but I don't know. I'm just not expecting some huge bump, but I don't know.
I think it'll get a little bit more run up just because it's the more popular market. Like of the three, it's basketball, football, then baseball. I don't know where to rank soccer in there because I don't follow it, but basketball is the most hype-driven market by far. It has the most buyers by far. It has the most transactions by far. So I do think it's going to see a little bit of a run up. I don't know that it's going to be like, prices double in a day or anything crazy like that, like in the months past, in the early days of COVID. But
yeah,
I do think certain things are going to get buzzy. There's way more content about like the basketball market, basketball cards in general that are going to help drive some of that stuff too, I think.
Yeah, and the thing about football is you're playing on a weekly basis. I mean, you have a weekly window to buy and sell cards every week in the football market, where in the basketball market you don't. So you got to have your cards. If there's a player that you think is going to be hot, you got to have those cards before they're hot because it could happen overnight. Where in football, you're talking about a 7-day window where if somebody has a shitty Sunday, you can buy their cards cheap. And then if they have a great Sunday the following week, now you can move right back out of them.
And just one more thing, we're 6 weeks out from the start of the season. So there you go.
Yeah, I talked about this morning, like the NBA season's like right around the corner. Yeah. It is not far away. We kind of touched on this already, Jonas. Football market will be reactionary. I think we all kind of agree. People that play well are going to see massive price increases. People that don't are going to probably go down. And I'm going to kind of spin this question a different way. I mentioned this in the video this morning. Do you guys agree? I think there's going to be massive buying opportunities in football come right about the start of the NBA season. Like the guys that start slow, maybe someone gets hurt for a couple weeks, turns an ankle, whatever, or like a Dak situation last year where he's out for the season. That stuff's going to happen. It's football. I think if you're willing to buy that stuff and sit on it until like March or April, I think there's going to be some real nice, easy flips in football in about 6 weeks.
Oh yeah, I had said in a comment. I'm sorry, I had said in a message with you guys the other day. I believe that come end of October, I'll be buying football again. That's just when I'll be buying. I'm buying my basketball now, and probably mid to end October, I'll probably be buying some football. Not massively, but I'll be picking a couple targets here and there that I want to buy. And baseball probably as well. I don't do much with baseball, but I will pick one or two players that I might go in on around that time.
Yep. Yeah, I agree. I'm not buying too much right now. I mean, I'm buying a ton of PC stuff as seen on TV, but I do think there's going to be some opportunity to buy some football and some baseball. I'm really curious, honestly, to see what happens because when we look at basketball, the last 2 seasons, the bubble and then this season, when it started, its increase in price drove increases across other sports, right? We saw it in basketball and in football with the bubble. It all kind of timed out. But in December, we started to see the drive up in baseball prices. So will it help football prices go up? I don't know. I'm just saying we saw that the last 2 times. I don't think it will, but just an observation.
Yeah, this is really our first year of normalcy. Like
Yep.
the NBA season's starting when it's supposed to after a relatively normal length off season. It was a little shorter than normal, but it's more what everyone's used to. You know, the NFL season's starting like it should with no shenanigans. You know, baseball's on schedule like it should, assuming there's no labor problems there. But you know, this is really our first, you know, we're post all the big price run-ups, the market's corrected. This is kind of really our first time through you know, the new world or the new market, if you will. So I'm kind of curious to see how things kind of float out the next few months with the new season starting, because we're kind of in uncharted territory, really.
One thing I guess I'll say to that, and then kind of my take about basketball, not sure if it's going to get a bump or not. Really, we're still looking at almost like 2 years straight of basketball because these seasons have kind of run into each other. It feels like there hasn't been a break. This is the closest thing that we've had a break, and it seems like a reasonable break, but it just does feel like it's been saturated from a content perspective that we're viewing. And I think that might be, you know, suppressing prices a little bit.
Yeah, last season coming into the basketball playoffs, it got to the point where it seemed like people really didn't even care. Like, and you didn't see much run up during the playoffs. I mean, Giannis was the big news, but I mean, and I said that a few times where I just felt like because of the lack of off season for basketball, that people were actually burned down on it. They were just tired of seeing the same people and hearing the same names, not just us as content creators or people who buy cards, people not in the hobby in general, people who just watch basketball were losing interest, you know, multiple reasons, but that's one of the things I think that contributed to it. It was just like, I need a breath of fresh air. Yeah. I thought that would really kick the football season in the ass, though. Like, I really was like, man, people are just chomping at the bit, foaming at the mouth for their NFL. And I thought that would drive the NFL a little bit harder. But again, I do think that if there's a couple players that come out and really hit the home run or whatever in football, I guess you can't hit home runs, but, you know, really come out hot, I think you're going to see some there's just some scenarios in football that I think can really affect some cards that haven't gone up very quickly. I think a Kyler Murray hot start is going to rocket his stuff. Lamar Jackson stuff's going to rocket if he starts hot. If Baker beats the Chiefs on opening day, shit is going to go crazy. So it's just like there's a lot of scenarios built into a couple of these players. But then with other players, I mean, Justin Herbert, I don't know what he has to do to make his cards go up. Josh Allen, I mean, it's like Super Bowl, in my opinion, it's like Super Bowl or bust for him. That being said, I think he's going to have an outstanding season. You know, he's probably, you know, I probably think he's going to be the best fantasy quarterback this year. But does that translate into card prices going up? Because I think a lot of stuff for Josh Allen is already built in, where these other guys are kind of like they had great seasons, then they pulled back, like Lamar Jackson, MVP season, then struggled. So now people don't know what to expect. But if he comes out showing that he can be an MVP caliber player again, I believe it's going to be a frenzy for a player, you know, that type of card, that type of player. Same with like a Kyler Murray. If they can come out and go 4-0 like they did last year, you're going to see Kyler Murray stuff go crazy.
Yeah, I think Kyler has a major opportunity to see massive price spikes this year. He played really well to start the season. Then his shoulder got banged up, and he was not the same player the second half of the season. I think because of that, I don't think that ever got right. And I'll be curious to see what they look like with him 100% healthy. And his stuff's like reasonably priced, especially when you look at his prices compared to Herbert and Allen and, you know, those guys. I'm going to abstain myself from this next question. Is Baker Mayfield overrated?
Yes, there's no question. Baker Mayfield is an average quarterback with a phenomenal roster, and that's why I've said multiple times on Neo's channel, on my channel, that this is going to be Baker Mayfield's best year of his career, and it's a good year to flip him. I probably don't want to be holding Baker by the end of the year. This is his best shot.
I mean, if you're talking from a pure production player standpoint, or as opposed to someone who can get love in the hobby, because he's got mad media attention, you know, he's got mad marketing. He's on a winning team. I mean, we've seen Jimmy Garoppolo cards skyrocket because the 49ers were going to the Super Bowl against the Chiefs, you know, 2 seasons ago. So, and by no means is Jimmy Garoppolo a statistical machine. So like you just said, he's put in a situation to win. If he can win with that team, that's all people I think are really going to care about. It's not going to be, is he passing for 400 yards and 3 touchdowns, or is he passing for 250 and 2 touchdowns and they're winning? 250 and 2 touchdowns and a win is better than 400 yards, 3 touchdowns, a pick, and a loss in the NFL card market. So if the Browns are winning, which they have the roster around him, it's really is a now or never. There's no excuses. That team is built to win now. We'll see how it works out, with the coaching and all that. And if, Baker can stay level-headed, I believe he can win in that system. And people may argue he's just a product of the system, but it doesn't matter. People argued that about Tom Brady forever. And now he's the GOAT and his cards are worth a lot of money. So I'm not saying Baker's Tom Brady, but I'm saying we've been here before.
And just to be clear, Baker's not a bad quarterback. But if you look at quarterback play in the NFL, it's phenomenal. You've got multiple. I mean, they're talking about Josh Allen as the next Mahomes. If he comes out and have an MVP type season, his cards are going to, I think, go through the roof because, he's showing that consistency. There's just a lot of talent in the NFL. I would put Baker somewhere in the top 12 to 18 quarterbacks in the NFL.
Yeah, it's definitely, I mean, his roster, I agree with Steve. He has no excuses this year, for sure. I'm going to bask in this one for a second. Will Giannis move back up now that he has his first championship monkey off the back? I don't think the Bucks repeat, but I could see him having another stellar season. I'll give a couple of quick takes on this, then throw it to you guys. So Giannis in general, I think just essentially has a really high floor now because he has back-to-back MVPs and an NBA championship. And there's a good chance he's going to be on the short list for MVP again this year. I agree. I don't know that they get back to the finals this year. It's probably going to depend on the Nets' health. But I'm going to just bask in the fact that, Steve, how much flack did we take 3 months ago for always liking Giannis in chat being like, he's a garbage player and he'll never win an NBA championship? I remember being on at least one or two of your live streams and people were like, Giannis isn't that good. What are you talking about?
Yeah, and it was funny because a lot of it was headed up by Ziggy, but Ziggy apologized since then. He was like, oh, I was wrong. But it was funny. Yeah.
But there was a lot of people, though, that were saying, I mean, it wasn't just, Ziggy definitely would bring it up, but like there was other people that were like saying the same thing. And I'm like, he's like the best defensive player in the league and has won 2 MVPs. What else does the guy need to do? So what? He can't hit threes. Like,
all we ever said was he just needed a little bit of help, just like every NBA player out there. Nobody goes out there and wins them themselves. I mean, look at the Lakers and LeBron's team, and look at the team the Nets have built. And you can go on and on and on about that superstars needing help. And finally, someone else stepped up, which was Chris Middleton. He may have even been he may have not had the best stats, but he may have been the most valuable player to that team in that finals just because he was able to do it when asked to do it, when needed to do it. Finally, someone else was able to step up, and that's always what we just said. We just said Giannis just needs somebody to help step up, just like any great player needs, and somebody did, and they won a championship.
Yeah, I'm actually – so I have one Giannis rookie. I have a Prism BGS 9.5. I'm going to hold it. I had the opportunity to sell it right the night that he won for a decent amount, and I'm just going to sit on it because I do think he has good long-term potential. He's not that old.
Yeah, he's still yeah.
So like he has the opportunity to run out this Bucks contract and then go somewhere else. And I think if he went, if he plays out another 4 years with Milwaukee and then joins a super team for, his late 20s, early 30s career, I think he has a lot of potential to do a lot more damage in regards to rings and MVPs. So I'm going to just sit on it and hold.
Jonas says, I know injuries are part of the game, but take all the injuries around the league away. I can't do that. I'm going to stop right there. You can't take the injuries away because you just said they're part of the game.
Yeah. Dakota, do you have any hot Giannis takes? I don't actually know where you sit on Giannis. Are you?
I like Giannis. I'm pro Giannis. I think what the Bucks did, I'm going to talk more the sports part of it. Like they finally accepted he's not a 3-point shooter. Don't make him shoot threes. Let him do what he does well. I think they took a step backwards in the offseason. Losing PJ Tucker, I don't think is going to help. I don't think they really replaced him truly. Just one comment that kind of stuck with me that y'all said, the MVP thing. I actually don't think he wins an MVP. NBA writers like narratives, and I think they're going to look for I think Giannis is going to be up there from a play perspective, but I think they want to give it to Trey or to Embiid or to Luka, but Luka's not going to get it.
Man, I'm telling you, I think Tatum explodes this year, barring injury. I think just Tatum, his whole game. Did you see him in the playoffs without Jaylen Brown? They were eliminated by the Nets, and the Nets took him out pretty easily. But it was not Jason Tatum's fault that they were eliminated, because one of the reasons his cards didn't suffer a big decline is he's one of the commercials for the NBA playoffs this year in a game that the Celtics were being eliminated from, but a three-pointer that he went crossover and hit baseline and drove everybody crazy was one of the highlights that NBA runs on their television all the time. And that was a game that the Celtics were eliminated in.
That's
I
a
love
great one.
Tatum. I absolutely love Tatum.
That's another one the league wants to promote and would like. I mean, I think writers would like to give him MVP. If they do well in Boston, it's a good story.
Yeah, it's a great market. It's a great market. I mean,
Jaylen Brown's a sneaky buy too. He was absolutely ridiculous for a streak last year, and then he got dinged up and kind of fell out of it. But he was playing out of his mind in the middle part of the season last year. This is an interesting one. You can kind of take a couple different ways. Would you rather have 10 $500 PSA 10s or one $5,000 PSA 10? Now he goes on to say if he should sell his Mahomes PC. I think for PC, it's, do whatever you like the best. I think from a investing / standpoint, this is kind of an interesting take. So would you rather have a bunch of lower dollar cards or one high end card? Let's assume it's the same player.
Oh, okay. That's a different question.
Because he specifically says Mahomes, so I'm gonna phrase this question that it's all the same player, the cards.
If it's the same player, I mean, it just depends on the situation. So the pros of having the 10 500s is exactly what Flip and Steve said earlier, is that it's more liquid. It's easier to sell that stuff. You can move off of it easier. The opposite side of this is the $5,000 card probably has more upside than the 10 $500 cards. And I would have said I'd prefer the 10 $500 cards because you could diversify a little bit. But when you can't diversify, it's really up to you. Do you believe in the player and the upside the player has, and you maybe want to tend more to that $5,000 card? If you're more weary about it, then you may want to tend more to the $500 card. At least that's how I see it.
Yeah, I would take the 5 or the 10 $500 cards because I'm going to do it from the perspective that I usually take. It gives you the ability to ride the waves a little bit more. If his stuff spikes, you can sell off some of it and still hold some of it and keep riding it and, roll the dice and risk it. Does it keep going up? Then if it doesn't, you could be like, oh, okay, well, at least I made some profit off of the 3 that I sold. So you could keep riding those ups and downs on the graphs and get a little cute with it. Whereas if you have one card, it makes it really tricky on if you want to sell that card, when to sell it.
Right. I also look at it from when you have the smaller cards, like you said, you can get in and out of a few. It gives you more options. But the other thing is that you're always going to get a higher percentage return on a lower dollar card. So if that card is liquid, you're more likely to have a $500 card double in value to $1,000 than you are a $5,000 card double to $10,000. So your percentage is always a higher increase on those smaller cards. It's always been like the rule that I've always noticed buying and selling a lot of stuff, that when I have smaller cards, a $30 card becomes a $60 card before a $100 card becomes a $200 card. I've just noticed the percentage gains increase faster on those smaller cards as opposed to your lump sum being bigger. I could see you making $10,000 off of your $500 cards at about the same time where you would see like a $7,500 return on your $5,000 card.
Mm.
Yeah, and I do agree that it's definitely a lot easier to move in and out of. I really think the sweet spot is like $250 to $1,000. Like in regards to like being like, okay, like you got something nice that people want and also have the liquidity side of it that a lot of people can afford that card. You're not alienating 3/4 of the room because you have a $3,000 card in your case that most people at trade night can't even look at, or they'll look at it, but they have no way of getting to that card. So I do think there's a nice sweet spot from that 250 range to 1K range that you could, even regardless of how big your bankroll is, I think you could stay right in that range and just crush it because you leave yourself the most potential buyers, in my opinion, and still leave yourself with a lot of upside. To Steve's point about like those $500 cards potentially have the ability to jump a lot higher than a 5,000 card does. percentage wise.
Yeah, and again, we're answering from a buying and selling situation. I mean, he does say like Mahomes PC on here, and like you said, if it's a PC, go with the cards that you like and the cards that you want to keep. You know, is PC strictly PC? I know a lot of people want their PC to have value and have investment potential. Some people just PC common cards because that's what they like. So are you PCing from the aspect of, yeah, this is my personal collection, but I'm hoping that 10 years from now it's worth more than it is now? Are you PCing from the aspect that I just like these cards and I never want to move them. I don't really care. So that's kind of two different ways to look at a PC, because, you know, I PC Soundgarden. In 10 years, Soundgarden is not going to be worth money. Yeah, I don't buy this for that. I also PC vintage basketball, like Elgin Baylor rookies. Now, 10 years from now, I'm hoping that this one is worth more than what I paid for it. So there's two different ways to look at PC.
Yeah, I'll take this from the approach of like how I would approach this with Baker. So like I have, you know, the nice Baker that I bought off of you, and then I have a lot of other, you know, pretty decent Baker. The Baker Flawless would probably, like if I was like, you have to sell all your Baker cards, the Flawless would probably be the last one that I would sell. And that's also probably the most, actually it is, it's not close. That's the most expensive one that I own too.
Mm-hmm.
So I would hold that one the longest, because for PC, if I'm going to sell something off nice like that, for a PC perspective, to me, that would be harder to get back into later on. You know what I mean? Assuming that the players stays relatively normal. You know, if I sell out of that, it's going to be harder for me to buy that card back later because of the increased price point. So I'd rather just hold it.
That being said, I want to ask you a question and put you on the spot with this. Do you have a price point that you would sell at Baker at if it hit a certain price point this season?
You know, I've gone back and forth on this a lot. I don't. I really don't, because I have so much other Baker I could sell.
Okay,
so
because I remember
take
the night
the
I sold it
profit
to you
on other Baker
Right.
and still free roll that one. You know what I mean? And I remember when you sold it to me, you go, I hope this is like a $8,000 card or something by the end of the season.
I said, here you go. I said, I hope for you, because I always wish, whenever I make a deal with somebody, whether I'm selling to a dealer, I'm selling them my cards or whatever, I always say to them, I hope you make good money off of them. I always want the deal to work good for both people. And I remember saying to you that night, I said, I hope by the end of the season, this is a 10K card.
If they go to the Super Bowl, I honestly believe it would be a 10K card.
Yeah, and regardless of what you give me for it, I don't care. I'm not going to look back and be like, damn, I should have kept it. I just, you know, I was happy at the time, and that's what I told you. So with that being said, if that was a 10K card, where do you sit?
I don't know. That would be 10K is a lot of cash, man.
It
I don't
is.
know what I would
It
do
is.
with that. But like I said, I mean, I have NT Baker booklets. I have other Baker RPAs. I have other Baker PSA 10s that I could like if that Flawless is a 10K card, this other stuff is going to go up astronomically as well. So I could still make a ton of money off that stuff.
Okay, so say Baker.
I don't like these tough questions.
Say the Baker and the Browns beat the Chiefs on opening day, and his stuff skyrockets, and you sell off everything except your Flawless. Then come February, the Browns are rolling into the Super Bowl, and that Flawless is sitting at 10K. But you sold all your other Bakers because that's why you got a stash of them, so you can sell some and keep some. So you kept the Flawless. You sold all the other ones after the week one pop. Now what do you do with your...
I wouldn't sell everything after a week one pop. Like if he pops week one, if they beat the Chiefs week one, which someone in chat said there's no way they're beating the Chiefs week one. Are they going to be favored? No, but they can absolutely beat the Chiefs week one. Like that's 100% in play. It could happen. Will it happen? Maybe, maybe not, but it could happen. I would trickle. I have enough that I could like trickle it down. I would probably immediately move one of the NT booklets.
Mm-hmm.
Then I would probably wait, and then I can move the Immaculate RPA that I have. And then some of the other stuff. Like I wouldn't just immediately dump everything that I had after week one.
Like Mahomes boy is laughing at Baker, but like you said, any given Sunday, guys, any given Sunday.
There you go. You know, Neil, let me jump in here just for a second. Like, you know, I've been doing this for a little while consistently, you know, since like, 99 or so. And I would just say in my experience, unless he really is going to be the GOAT, whoever we're talking about, you'll always be able to buy cheaper. You'll always be able to buy it back cheaper. And I just
they let you buy them back.
To
I've
me,
heard that before.
If we're talking about a modern player that's playing right now, I don't see how I would pass up that opportunity. I don't care PC. There's not a player I like enough to hold it like that. Vintage stuff I may hold because who knows what's really going to happen with that stuff. But a modern player, I mean, I hate to break it to you guys, all of them except for maybe one or two, their prices over the next 7 years or whatever will probably be lower than they are now, or certainly lower than they are in their peaks during their peaks of their careers.
I just know how hard it was for me to sell the Vlad Blue that I had no attachment to, and then all of a sudden had attachment to. And then this card I legit have attachment to, trying to sell it. But you're 100% right, Dakota. Like exactly what you said that's the correct logical thing to do if that card got to 10K to sell it.
Though I could see some emotional attachment to it because you bought it from Steve. So,
and there's that aspect of it too. There's that factor of it, and as a big time Browns fan, if he would legit win us a Super Bowl, like I don't know, it would be really hard for me to let go, especially if that was the only one that I had left. If it got to that point, I might just say, you know what, I made thousands on all the other stuff. I'll ride this one to wherever it goes.
Look, man, I got to pause for a very quick rant.
Go for it.
I talked about in my live drive how Pokemon buyers are like the worst. Well, this person that finally took 3 days to pay me for a Pokemon card, they paid me last night, Saturday night. And now I didn't ship it today because it's Sunday and it's a holiday weekend. And they're messaging me, when do you plan on shipping this? What do you mean you paid me Saturday night? It's Sunday and tomorrow is Labor Day. And I'm like, I told him, I said, it's a holiday weekend. Mail doesn't run till Tuesday. It'll be in the mail, is what I just told him. But I'm like, come on, who pays on a Saturday night and message me on a Sunday night when I'm going to ship it?
Yeah, you're 100% though. I noticed the younger audience on eBay, they push for, hey, when's this getting in the mail? I've noticed that.
I didn't bother them about, hey, it's been 3 days. When are you going to pay me? I can't wait till all these Pokemon cards are sold and I'm just done with it.
Sasha T did come out with a new video today. Wish she never came back to YouTube. Everything wrong with the hobby. I'm gonna disagree with that. I don't necessarily like the way he negotiated that last deal that he caught a lot of flack for. Like, I agree with that, but I mean, that's the modern hobby now. Whether you like it or not, that's a decent portion of the modern hobby is Sasha T's style. And the flip and the buy it at one table and walk across the hall and sell it for $100 more or whatever. That's the game now for a lot of people. I'm not going to throw shade at him. He's very good at what he does, and he's a very good content creator. He makes very interesting and engaging content. So, and very well made too. As someone that's tried doing vlogs in the past and failed miserably.
I'm waiting for somebody to comment in the stream saying, I'm the person that bought the Pokemon card.
You could be shipping this right now. Why are you on this live stream?
Yeah, right.
I respect Sasha T. I respect his hustle. I do think that he was in a unique situation that a lot of people can't prosper in, where like he could walk the PSA and hand stuff in, And I'm not saying like he benefited from that in any malicious way, but just like he was ahead of the curve on that, and good for him.
Yeah, and like I said, I do enjoy his content, and that's whether you like it or not, that is an aspect of the hobby now. I get that a lot of people don't like it, but it is what it is.
Everyone's saying Pokemon buyers are the worst. They agree with you, Steve.
I've never bought or sold.
I just have some Pokemon that I graded that I had from when I got them out of packs, 20 years ago. And I got them graded and I'm just selling them. And I did like 5 of the bigger ones months ago, like the Charizard, the Blastoise, the first ones.
Yeah.
And tons and tons of questions, tons and tons of when are you shipping, but man, waiting for payment was the biggest one on a lot of them. All of them, I'm waiting for somebody to buy something so I have the money to pay. I'm like, well, wait, what? And then, but I'm patient, I don't push. And I see somebody commented after 3 days, you can do the old unpaid and relist, and that's fine. I mean, it was like $120 sale on like a $15 investment. I could just cancel it and be like, oh man, lost or broken. But just to be spiteful for this person bugging me, but I'm not going to be like that. I'm going to ship them their Pokemon card and hopefully they're happy when they get it.
I feel like I can answer Steve for this one. I believe we are both holding Tatum in this season because we are both. I am long on Tatum. He's one of the players that I will ride the waves with for a while.
Now I'm in a situation like we talked about earlier where I can sell some. I have multiples. I have multiple hollows. I have shock hollows. So I have regular hollows, then I have the regular hollows, then I have these hollows, which are the shocks. Then I have a couple. I picked up a couple of the premier level base. I got a couple more on the way, so I have enough. And I have 2 offers in on 2 right now. If I get them at that price and at my offers, then I definitely can sit on some. But
can I throw out there? If I had Tatum, I would be holding him. I look to pick some up, but I was spending my money on other stuff. And I don't know, Steve, you might appreciate this one. It's a Larry Zonka rookie. So a lot of stuff like that. So I
just bought another vintage basketball rookie tonight. You saw it. Neo hasn't seen it yet.
Oh,
but I bought another vintage basket. It's not a super expensive one. It's just one that I picked up because I'm addicted to vintage basketball now. And it was just going off at a good price. It was a George Gervin rookie from 1974. It was an SGC 8. And the last PSA 8 went for about $850. And I got this SGC 8 for $330. So I was like $330 for SGC 8 74 tops. George Gervin. Give me that. Give me the Iceman all day for $330.
Steve, chat wants to know, is your mom watching right now?
No, she doesn't know that was going to be on. She probably thinks I came home from work and this was not planned.
Have you guys had any success on my slab?
Yell at me.
I have buying. I've gotten some real nice deals buying on my slabs. I'm not looking to sell a ton of stuff right now, so I can't comment one way or the other on selling. The only thing I'm really looking to sell is the Trey premium box, and I actually just listed my Devers purple refractor today. Those are the only 2 cards I have for sale right now anywhere.
I think I have 4 cards on there right now. One of them actually just pulled because I had it consigned in Tampa, and I think they just sold it for me at the Collectors Con. And then
the Brady,
and then because he messaged me today asking me my PayPal and said he thinks thought he was about to close a deal on it. So,
nice.
And then I have 2 or 3 soccer cards on there, and I had a Pokemon card on there, but it sold on eBay, so I pulled it off my slabs. So that's all I really had. I sold a big comic book on there.
I remember that. That was not that long ago.
Yeah, I've been buying off there quite a bit.
I just that Jaylen Brown mosaic I got was off there. It was the cheapest one that I could find, and then you factor in the no sales tax and stuff. It was even cheaper.
You know what I want? I want some BGS 10s. That's what I want. I want some BGS 10s.
Good luck. Those suckers are
You
pricey.
got that Zion floating around still, don't you?
The Zion's still floating, but the Zion I might move for the right card. The Zion Select Red Prism at a 199. Yeah, at a 199.
The deal that almost gave me a coronary at the National in the Lowe's Hotel banquet room.
I might move that in Raleigh. I'm going to that show in Raleigh in 2 weeks.
I think Sam mentioned today that from Women of the Hobby that she might be at that show as well. That's local to her now.
Oh, really? Okay, I thought she was Atlanta based.
She just moved. She's in North Carolina now.
Okay. Yeah, I'm going down there to Dustin's for a couple nights. We're going to the Panthers and Saints on that Sunday.
Oh, she'll be at the Panthers game too because she's the season ticket holder.
Oh, okay.
Her parents are, but yeah.
So,
are you drinking a Purple Haze energy drink, Steve?
I am not. I would like to have one for the morning, but if I drank one now, I would not be able to. I do got a little Purple Haze Jimi Hendrix.
Hey,
without doo-doo stains.
That's pretty sweet.
Oh, you didn't see this one, the PSA 7?
No, I hadn't. I don't know.
I haven't seen
Oh
that.
yeah, I bought this sticker for like $35 and I submitted it and I got a PSA 7. It's a
I think I remember when you got that back in the PS. Did you do a PSA reveal on that?
I did a PSA reveal and I talked about a PSA 8 on eBay that had doo-doo stains on the side of it. I was like, and I was super happy with my 7 and I still am. I don't think mine was undergraded. I think mine was fairly graded, so that wasn't a knock at me bitching about my sticker. That was more of me when I looked them up on eBay to see if anybody was selling any or listing any. There was a PSA 8, and when I looked at the photo, I was like, "How did that 8? literally, it's got brown spots on the front. They go all the way through to the back, and then somebody taking an ink pen down here and wrote an ink line with it. It didn't even have like an MK or like a marking. It didn't have any qualifiers. I was like, how did that grade an 8? It's written on, and it has Dookie on the front and back of it.
This is an interesting comment here, and I think this actually kind of ties in. Saw one of the comments on the video that we did on, I forget what day it was, Dakota, when me and you did the live stream after the draft. Yeah, Wednesday. The modern face of the hobby is not caring at all about the cards or the hobby, but profiting from everybody who does. Do you feel that there is a large segment of the people that are in the game that actually don't care about the cards, or that don't, like, how many people do you think of the modern, the people that just came in that actually don't, that basically just PC cash, I guess would be the best way to sum this up?
I think only the retail flippers are that way. I mean, even when you watch Sasha T's content, like I get the thought. I feel like he understands the cards, and I feel like he has an appreciation for them. Even, people may want to shit on Jeff too, Sports Cards Investors. I mean, he knows some things, when you get him off script, sometimes it can be a little rough, but I mean, he knows some things and he appreciates some cards, quite a bit. And, not everybody can know every single aspect of every single card. But I think, really, other than exclusively retail flippers, most people have some respect for the card and some like inclination to collect.
I think some start to this comment and then become attached to stuff, or fall into maybe not necessarily a true PC, but like, I want to hold this LeBron stuff for a while, or I want to hold this Kobe stuff, or, whatever. They might not start that way, but I think it kind of gets its fangs in you a little bit, and you're going to come slightly attached to some of this stuff.
Yeah, like Dakota said, I think there is some sort of appreciation. It may not be any collecting aspect to it. I do believe people do it. You have to know what you're buying and what you're selling, not just the players. You have to know the cards, or you're just going to go buy a whole bunch of illusions. You know what I mean? You're not going to. You have to do your research. If you're an investor or a flipper, it's not just about simply buying card A of player B and for this price and making money on it. So you do have to care to an aspect.
And I don't think it's so much, the modern.
Not be there.
I don't think it's so much that the modern face of the hobby doesn't care about the cards. I think they care about the cards, but it's like, do they care more about the cash than the cards, I guess, like in their order of preference? Are they actually appreciating the card? I mean, they understand, like, what an 86 Fleer Jordan is and all that, but do they actually care that it's an 86 Fleer Jordan, or do they care more about the dollar figure? Do they care about the last comp more than the card itself?
See, I'm going to run with that a little bit. What Sasha T does so beautifully, and he's failed miserably sometimes too, but he has a strategy. He says, I think this card is undervalued because X. He bought that Kevin Durant refractor. He famously flew up to go buy. It was like 50 grand or whatever. And I think he lost his tail on that card. But he showed a strategy on why he thought that way. So it shows an understanding and I think an appreciation of the hobby. And I think that people, if they want to flip and do this successfully, to Steve's point, I mean, you have to know. I don't talk soccer, Pokemon, anything, hockey, because I don't know it. And I'm not going to dabble in it. I buy Pokemon a little bit here and there from my PC because I grew up on it. But like, I never show that stuff off because I'm ignorant, so I don't know. I think most people to some degree collect or appreciate.
I also think a lot of it has to do with also being, the generation, or it's generational as far as the players that, some players might not know or appreciate the players that I know and appreciate just because there's an age gap there. Jordan is like the exception, but you have people that honestly will argue, I think Dakota might be one of them, that LeBron is the GOAT over Michael.
I would argue it.
And a lot of times that people making that claim are people who've never seen Michael Jordan play a single game.
That's a bingo.
So, that's where the generational gap comes in to the perception that is their GOAT, and you still see YouTube videos where people react. LeBron fan reacts to Michael Jordan mixtape, and you see like how many views something like that'll get. And a guy like me will watch that because I'm like, okay, yeah, I want to see how this young teenager reacts to watching Michael Jordan actually play. Are they now going to have the same mindset as myself, who got to see him play when it was happening? Or are they still going to be like, no, LeBron, number one? And I believe that just translate over to cards. Like, there's not many people in today's generation, like I said, buying and flipping vintage basketball card rookies, or even rookies, or even people that aren't in the league anymore, regardless if it's long ago or not. Like I've talked about Dwayne Wade. So that's where, with people who are a little bit older, can tend to sour on some of the people in the hobby now, because it's just different. The players are different. The way they do things are different. But, times change, and it doesn't mean that the way anybody does anything, myself, somebody younger, somebody 20 years older than me, is right or wrong.
Yeah. And, I talked about this in my video on Saturday. A commenter one time asked me, like, what's the end game? You flip all this stuff, you keep building up the bankroll. Like, what is the actual end game? Is it just to build up the checking account? And Saturday's video, yeah, it was a comic book, but that's one of my end games was that particular thing. So it was a PC / that's an investable item as well. But I think we all have different end games of what we're shooting for, whether it's vintage or modern, or maybe something collectible that's not even necessarily a sports card, but still in the collectible side of things. I don't know, Steve, I don't know how much you use Star Stock, but Dakota and I talked about this last week. Someone says, is Star Stock dead? I'm going to say, I don't think it's dead, but it has definitely slowed. And I think, and Dakota would probably know this more than I would, I think the cheap stuff still moves extremely well. Like sub $10 Star Stock A's, stuff like that, I think still moves at a pretty decent clip. But Dakota, please correct me if I'm wrong on that. Graded stuff, unless you really have it priced cheaper than eBay, definitely sits.
Sorry, let me check my auction real fast, and I'm watching. That reminded me. I would say
you reminded me too.
Yeah, I'll say a couple things. So that cheap stuff moves. Me and the boys on the Discord, that cheap stuff moves. That's where we're sitting at a high level. When you look at the three major sports: baseball, football, basketball, all three charts more or less, right, high level or sideways right now, and that's why it's slow too. Because you don't have auctions on Star Stock, so it doesn't push sales. So people can kind of sit and wait. They got inventory they're sitting on. Other people got inventory they're sitting on. There's not this push that forces people to move. One thing that I've been noticing, as we were on here, I looked up Juan Soto, Acuna, some baseball players and stuff. Some like refractor stuff, especially in PSA 9, PSA 10. Well, I'd say more than 9. That $150 to $200 range actually sells for a little bit more on Star Stock than on eBay. It's something I've noticed, and it's just kind of interesting.
I wonder if that's just because people have cash in their Star Stock account and they would rather just pay a little bit more for the card and then just ship the card home rather than deal with like pulling cash out. Like, I wonder if it's some of that. Like, hey, I got this basically free Star Stock money from flipping. Yeah. Let me just buy these cards and have them shipped home or whatever.
Yeah, I think so, because when I every time I see this, it's almost always a refractor. It's almost always a PSA 9. It's almost always a big guy around, again, $150 to $200. And then it's usually a discrepancy of $5 to $15 where you pay a little bit more on Star Stock. And there's usually an open offer higher than any, recent last week sales on eBay. And so that's just something kind of random that I've been noticing now.
I mean, if you're paying sales tax on your eBay purchases, it's actually probably the same. Like, yeah, it's higher in comps, but like the net price out is probably the same. The comment that I'll make on Star Stock, which we talked about this on Wednesday, is I'm a little disappointed in them with their lack of innovation the last 6 months, I'll say. I feel like they have let the platform stagnate with lack of new tools that have been promised. We talked about, like, if you have a large collection on the back end, inventory management's a nightmare. Changing a bunch of offers on a ton of different stuff is a nightmare.
Yep.
Like that sort of stuff. It's still really easy to accidentally click buy when you don't mean to buy or sell when you don't mean to sell, like stuff like that. And I feel like they really haven't done, like, they market their breaks more than the buy sell trade platform, it feels like, the last few months.
last thing I'll say, Steve, and I'll shut up. They're killing it on breaks from a money perspective. They have to be. And I know recently they just promoted. They're bringing in a lot of football players. I saw Warren Moon's coming into breaks. I mean, they got guys coming in. I mean, Warren Moon's a big name. You know, you got him coming into breaks. They're definitely. I mean, I'm making an assumption here. They're definitely killing it on breaks, and I think they see this as a good revenue stream, and they want to keep that going.
Yeah, but I feel like them promoting the breaks is leaving, like they're letting the product that built them like kind of wither on the vine to a degree.
Oh yeah, they'll die if they stand on the breaks hill. They have to realize that they're the day trading capital of the hobby, and that's what they should be. That should be the cornerstone of who they are, and breaks should be ancillary. And they may be making a lot of money now, but if flip starts slowing down, people aren't going to keep buying into breaks.
Yeah, my Star Stock answer is quick. My answer is going to be quick, is I haven't been on Star Stock in months. So I haven't been on since they opened the break platform. I only know about it because I think I watch videos of you guys talking about it. And I just haven't. I don't even know if I have a balance on there from people using like my promo code. I might have a big balance sitting there that I don't even know about. Because in fact, I told people to use other people's promo codes, not even mine. Because I was like, you can use mine if you want, but use whoever. Just don't cheat yourself out of $10. But yeah, honestly, I sent them some cards. I sold most of them off. I do have some cards sitting on there, and I don't even know what they're at. And a lot of it was baseball slabs that I bought pre-baseball season. Gleyber Torres, Eloy Jimenez. I mean, stuff like that, Topps Chromes, PSA 10s and stuff, when they were like $30.
Yeah, stupid cheap back in December.
Yeah, and they're just like sitting over there. Some of them might have sold off. I get emails a lot saying someone has undercut your listing. I get those email notifications, but I haven't been over there to even see really what it is. But just because I don't use it doesn't mean it's not popular.
Yeah, I'm just generally disappointed in their staleness that they have let kind of linger on the day trading side of that platform, because I think it really had a lot of momentum at the beginning of the year, and then when the hobby took its downturn, they started focusing on breaks and less away from the singles, and I feel like that in the short term that's probably a smart business decision, to Dakota's point, but I feel like in the long term it could be a detriment. Maybe they have like a slew of new features they're getting ready to roll out, but you think you'd want to be like, football season's about to start, like the ultimate day trading quick flip is an NFL Sunday. Like, you think you'd be marketing and pushing the hell out of that platform from that aspect, and all you see is like, here's our newest break. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Whereas on the flip side, you know, me and Dakota could speak to this because we're sponsors. You know, My Slabs is aggressively out there marketing their platform to people that are buying and selling cards. Like, they're, you know, me and you have had sponsors videos with them. I know Ryan from Breakout Cards has done stuff with them, and they do a lot of other, like, they are definitely on a marketing push to try to grow their platform. And I don't know that I see that with Star Stock.
Yeah. And with My Slabs in particular, I mean, obviously you just said it, I'm a sponsor, so take this for what you will, but I mean, they paid me for 4 advertisements. So anything I talk about them that's not in those advertisements isn't paid for. But you know, I think those guys are both really approachable. Those guys, Ken and Matt, they came on my channel and did a live stream. And I do think they're hobbyists, and I think they're open and interactive with the community. And that's what I want to see. And I know My Slabs, you know, I think it's a great tool, and they're making changes. They've been making changes, and I'm excited for what is in the future for them. And I think that's a platform that will very quickly become a lot of people's primary platform.
To me, their major advantage is that you have the cards in your hands and you can list them in multiple places. Like, you can still sell on eBay and have the card listed on My Slabs too. That's like, it's the best. You literally get the best of both worlds, and you could be posting it on an IG, Twitter, or, you know, this, that, or the other thing, or taking it to a show with you or whatever. You just have to be quick on the trigger if it sells on one platform to pull it off the other one. But as long as you're on top of paying attention to that stuff, I mean, My Slabs is an absolute no-brainer. Once again, to Dakota's point, you know, they sponsor some videos on my channel as well, but this clearly isn't one of them. But it's a no-brainer not to post your stuff over there. Like, why wouldn't you do it? Like, you know, if it sells over there, you're probably going to make more money potentially.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Steve.
Oh, no. I was just going to say, yeah, like, prime example, I had that Tom Brady consigned, and he let me know something today. I had to pull it off my slabs. Now I will list stuff on eBay because you get more eyes on it, and then you may drop a hint to somebody, hey, check my slabs. I can give you a better deal because I can save money on fees. And also, like the Tom Brady card, though, I had listed on eBay, but I removed that when I consigned it with him because it was such a no comps type, no listings of that card other than mine, that I didn't want my listing on eBay at a buy it now for them to reference when he was going to sell it. Like, say, for instance, I wanted $2,500 for that card. If I had it for $2,500 on eBay and it's been sitting there for 2 months and nobody's going to buy it, then a buyer is going to be like, well, I'm not going to give you $2,500 for it. It's been sitting on eBay for a month for $2,500, so nobody's willing to pay that for it. So I pulled that down so that he would have negotiating leverage for me with my card.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, just to your point, Steve, there's my Joe Namath back there, and like in my thumbnail for that card reveal, basically, I put my slabs in there because like I really believe I only bought that card because I found it on my slabs, because I think it would have cost me another $400 if I bought it on eBay, and I didn't want to pay another $400.
Right.
Curious on this next question because I honestly don't know. What are your guys? What do you have? Do you guys know like what your biggest flip ever was? Probably percentage wise, I guess.
Yeah.
In general, like one that was like really stands out as like, man, I freaking crushed that.
Yeah, well, mine's going to be a couple different ones because they're all different.
Because he's the best in the game.
No, I mean, it's literally in his name. It's literally in his name.
No. I'm changing my name. I'm telling him changing my name to Collecting Steve, so everybody would just leave me alone and stop telling me.
Oh, I thought you were going to go with Pump and Dump, Steve.
Yeah. That's if I ever become a famous wrestler, that's going to be my finishing move, the pump.
Pump and Dump.
But yeah.
It's going to be a hip heavy DDT. I like it.
Yeah, like old Scott Steiner.
God,
they had the Scott Steiner nickname, Big Papa Pump and Dump.
You need a sticker of you like pile driving someone now or something.
Jamming a card in somebody's mouth.
Oh my God. I'm dead.
But anyway, so I bought a bunch of Patrick Mahomes PSA 10 selects for $200 a piece back before his Super Bowl win, so 2 years ago, and sold them for $2,000 a piece. But that was one big deal, sold for one big deal. So $1,000 invested, $10,000 out the door. Raw to graded, Jason Tatum optics and select base. When you could buy those in lots for anywhere between $3 and $6 a card raw. So we're going back, you got to go back before the market spike. And then those became like $40 and $50 cards raw, but I had sent them in to get graded and got a bunch of 9s and 10s. So they were selling anywhere between 9s at the time were like $200 and 10s were like $500. Now 10s are like $200. So you see where the market has come and gone since then. But that was a big raw to graded flip. And then I've had some huge flips on something nobody wants to talk about, and that's Top Shot. But I mean, I've made a ton of money on that platform. But
I made a lot of Top Shot too.
As far as something from $5 to $10K, nothing along $5 to $10K or $5 to $10K. Yeah, nothing like that. I could have, but like I just don't sit on cards long enough for a $5 card to be a $10K flip. I bought a LeBron card for $500 and sold it for $3,500. That card then became a $30K card, but I had sold it. When I'm looking at a $3,000 profit, I was like, okay, I'm going to take that. I never thought the market would go where it was at. I mean, this was a what they call Topps Pristine Refractor BGS 10. So the Topps Pristine brand, it's come back down probably to like a 10 or 12K card, but 2003 Topps Pristine Refractor, so it was serial numbered and it was a BGS 10, not a PSA 10. And I picked that card up, but with that being said, that was like one of my first sales when I got back in. I used a lot of that money to be able to buy. Actually, the money that I bought some of those Patrick Mahomes with that I already talked about came from that LeBron sale. So when you look at it, it all kind of adds up at the end. You know what I mean? I wouldn't have had the $3,000 to buy the Patrick Mahomes selects that I then sold for $10K, you know, so it all comes hand in hand, you know, it bankrolled.
My biggest ones are probably ones I haven't actually sold yet, but that's because a lot of I have Tatum's and Lukas that I bought in 2018 and early 2019. So if you look at the percentage on those, I have Jason Tatum Prism bases that I paid $25 for in PSA 10 slabs. So that's what they were going for back in the spring of 2019. So percentage wise, those would be monster flips right now. The more modern stuff, probably my best string was the purple Vlad refractor, turning that into the blue refractor and then flipping the blue refractor. So I was into the purple for a K, threw in a little bit extra money, sold that, got the blue, and then sold that for a $1,400 profit. So that was basically turning I don't know, probably $1,300 or $1,400. It's in that video into $3,400 total. So almost a 2K net gain in a 1 month period. But that wasn't one card. It was one card plus a little cash into the next card because I sold that one for way more and then sold that one. And then right now that money is all tied up in optic hollows of Luka and Trey and silvers. So that's probably my best one.
Yeah, turnaround times kind of prevent any big flips from happening right now. I got back a Messi Prism PSA 10. I told you, you saw it. I back a 2014 Prism World Cup Messi in a PSA 10. I bought that off ComC way back when that was a $20 card raw. I sent it into PSA. When I sent it to PSA, that card was selling between $3,500 and $4,000 on eBay. By the time I got it back, it's now a $350 card.
Actually, I just thought of this. One of my better ones was I bought a brown suit Wolverine 90 Marvel Universe out of a binder at a comic shop in January for 25 cents and spent $75 to grade it at PSA, and it got a 10. And I think I sold it for over a K. So that one's pretty good.
Mm-hmm. I mean,
do you have any monster ones, Dakota? Do you have any big time? Or I know you do. You're more quantity rather than massive ones.
Yeah, for me, I had some pretty big flips last year before I had a channel. I mean, look, guys, I don't think I've ever had a sell of north of maybe $500, but I've got maybe 3 or 4 $200 to $300 flips. Russell Wilson, Sam Darnold, Carson Wentz. Those are flips I've done well on. But I don't know, just briefly, I guess, for me, us here, Neo, I think at least I think your specialty is kind of seeing value in big cards. Steve, I think you're the best at seeing around corners. And then me, I go to a show, I spend 2 days going through boxes, and I can flip them all basically double the next day. Once I list them on eBay, that's what I do. I do $20 flips.
Yeah, you do quantity of you'll do a bunch of $20 cards to $40 cards and crush it. Whereas I do much more limited scope. I kind of target in on okay, I think these specific PSA 9s or 10s of these couple players. I went into the National with a list of 4 cards that I was specifically looking for. And I think Steve's kind of the same way, but a more broader scope with a bigger list. But have either of you guys checked out the new PWCC fixed marketplace? I haven't looked at it. The only thing that I've heard so far is that the stuff that was up there was priced high. But I haven't dug in to look for anything in particular on the fixed price side of things. Have either of you guys dug around on that at all?
Nope, I haven't touched it. I reached out to them and asked them if they want to come on the channel, but I haven't looked at their fixed price.
I saw that the Premier stuff this past weekend did really well, I think. I think there were some pretty good comps coming off the Premier auction, but I feel like Premier auction PWCC always did well, so I don't know that the shenanigans really affected that much.
Yeah, I don't think Premier auction is really affected by any of that. That's something they've always done. It's been a standalone thing that they do. I don't think any of this really affected that.
I think we'll have a better idea once the actual regular auction platform launches in October or whenever it's supposed to launch. I have a feeling they lost a lot of inventory. I know a lot of people that pulled cards out of there. I got a lot of messages on IG of people of I got my stuff out of there. They're maybe I'll send it back, but I want to see what happens.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people pulled out after the selling platform. A certain segment pulled out immediately. And then I know another big wave pulled out when the selling fees were announced. And I think we've all, or at least I know Dakota and I have talked about that. I think that was a massive mistake, what they rolled out.
Yeah,
Or
I've never
someone
really, I never dabbled with webcam chat. I've never dabbled with the PWCC stuff really, other than just what I did with them on eBay. I don't even think I have an account on their marketplace or their auction site or whatever it is.
Yeah, I
never,
don't either. I will probably end up making one.
I never used it, but I made one once. It was like 6 months ago. Jeff on Sports Cards Investor like rolled out his PWCC partnership or whatever. So I went and made an account, but I literally never used it. I loved buying their stuff on eBay, but I never used the vault or anything.
Damn it, Mom!
Yeah.
It's past your bedtime. Quit spamming chat.
A lot of people were commenting in chat about Star Stock, and they think it got hurt by the PSA shutdown. That's an interesting take, which I really didn't think about, because I do think that was a lot of the buzz of like, oh, sweet, I can buy these A's and then send them in, and they're going to come back in 2 months as PSA 9 or 10s, and that shit got shut down fast. I know. I'm in sub 1. I don't know what mystical arts they performed on that one, but those cards came back lightning quick as like a pure. I feel like they almost ran a bait and switch on us.
Bait and switch. It absolutely.
I was like, holy shit, those came back fast. I got to get cards in this sub too, and I bought stuff just the sub, and that was the January sub, and I don't know where those cards are.
Yeah, no, I really do think they bait and switched us on that. I think it's kind of bullshit, and I think they need to answer to. And they're just going to say, "Oh, PSA closed down." Come on, guys. You know, tell me you didn't know. How did you get it back in 30 days in December when they were so far behind? It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, and I remember even when you had him on, I remember asking you, like, that was my biggest question, and he kind of dodged it as like I don't understand how you don't have a Google Doc shared somewhere of like, hey, here's the January sub, it's in this stage. Like, that's all I'm asking for. I don't think that's too much to ask to say like, or have a dashboard on your website that just says January sub, February sub, March sub, that says this one's in R&D, this one's in grading, this one's in QA1. Like, that's all I really want. Just to know like where they are even at in the process. And we don't even have that. I don't even know who you email to ask those questions to.
I think Harris missed us talking about the NFL earlier.
Oh, I'm sure people are coming in and out for sure.
Yeah. Mahomes in a PSA 9 slab, he says. He thinks
I'm so far behind on chat. I've been scrolling ahead trying to.
Oh, it's just my mom spamming chat. There's nothing else in there. Just
people really loving the pump and dump Steve finisher.
But you know what? If we keep joking about it, people are going to start like taking it seriously, and I'm going to be like, "Damn, that sucks."
No, I think you need to fully embrace, like, come around with a sticker that shows you.
I'm just going to shut it down. I won't be on YouTube no more. I'll just be off doing my own thing in the corner buying.
You guys had I caught it today. I was listening to it while I was walking this morning at the park. You guys went like on a deep dive towards the end of your Friday night stream last week. You two, like, with some like YouTube deep thoughts on like how I almost stopped making videos and like
it was a heart to heart.
You guys really like laid out on the couch and just put it all out there. I was like, damn, this went like I didn't expect this to go these places.
I've been pretty reflective recently, I guess, with 3K, and I put out kind of a just an honest video today about like reaching 3K and kind of what I think about my channel and stuff like that. I guess my mind's been in that space, so I'm sorry if I steered you somewhere you didn't want to go, Steve.
Oh no, I didn't know anybody was watching. I'm just kidding.
No, I remember like to that point. I don't want to derail us on this one, but I remember Steve. Like, I think when you messaged me and Dustin, I think in the group chat, and you're just kind of like, I think I might chill for a little while. And I'm like, what? Like, what are you doing? What are you even thinking? You do like one video a week. Like, why would you stop doing that?
I'm so overwhelmed, man. God, I got all these cards to pump and dump. You don't understand.
Listen, try doing daily content and then talk to me about being overwhelmed.
Yeah, right. I know.
To both your point, I think you both said, like, is there times like there's days when I'm like, all right, what are we doing today? Like, I gotta think of something.
Yeah, it's so funny, man. I go through phases where it's like day to day, like, shit, what am I gonna make today? And I try not to force anything, obviously, but like right now, I already have content made for Monday. I only logged on your stream because I came on. I was going to record 3 videos for the week. I have so much content in my head right now. I want to get it out. And I don't know, it's just funny. You go through these ebbs and flows where they're like, just the usual stuff, and then like boom, there's just so much content in your head.
You know what happened with me is I used to put out a video every day or every other day, and then I discovered the live stream, and I was like, man, this is easy. I love it. And I was like, and
Live
people
streams
tune
are
in to
cheating.
watch. Surprisingly, I was like, okay, I'm going to have 10 watchers tonight. And like the first night, it was like 150, and I was like, holy crap. 150 people don't really care about what I have to say. But
this is super in the weeds, like YouTube shenanigans. And I've said, I think this is to pretty much everybody. Live streams are a blast. They're one of the funnest parts of YouTube. They are terrible to rely on to actually build. If you're looking to truly build a channel and build a base, if you're a small channel, it is very bad to rely on them because the YouTube algorithm hates them. They do not share well, and they are not great to watch after less people watch them after the fact, which means YouTube is going to show the video to less people. Which, and I get, Steve, you're not looking to do this for your day job or whatever. But my biggest recommendation to be with anyone before you go full in on the live stream is have an established base already. Like Steve, you have your community already, so you could do live streams to your heart content. You don't care about the community growing any bigger, but I think to rely on them right out of the gate is tricky because I think it will limit how many viewers are going to get attracted to your channel as a smaller channel. You need to have some routine content with live streams filtered in, at least as the channel is growing, is what I've noticed on my side of things anyway.
Yeah, I just like, I'll have like ideas for like 4 videos, but I'm like, man, I can't do 4 videos. I
keep a notebook on my desk. I keep a notebook on my desk, and when I think of something, I write it down on there. Because then it's like, okay, if I ever need, like, it's not like time sensitive stuff. It'll be like, oh, I'd like to like comment on whatever. I'll keep a little notebook on the desk of stuff for videos that I want to make on like non-topical things. But lately, there's been so much shenanigans going on. Do you guys have any hot takes on national silver packs? I've never really been like big on the national specific cards.
No one seems to care about that crap. I mean, some of them look kind of cool. If you want it for your PC, knock yourself out. But from a flipping standpoint, good freaking luck. I wouldn't touch it.
Like the weekend of the national, they're really hot. And then after that, people tend to like, the buzz goes away. People tend to not really care that much about them. I mean, you can look at that in past history of all the VIP national cards, this, that, and the other. You'll see them pop up a lot on eBay if you're searching your specific players that you like, and they just kind of sit. Now, if you're talking about trying to find something along the lines of a Kaboom style insert that you like, that I think is undervalued, that, you know, can become highly collectible, I like the On the Horizon stuff. They do come from like special packs. I don't know if it's Panini points packs or if they were gift VIP packs or whatever, but those On the Horizon cards kind of are a play on the downtown / Kaboom.
Right? Yeah,
they're like downtowns, except it's an actual photo where the downtown is like a cartoon character of the player with the downtown, you know, representing the downtown. But the On the Horizon is actually representing the city or wherever they're from as well. However, it's an action photo put on there, which I like better. I like the action photo. If it's not a photo with the player on a card, it's it's a drawing of the player. I'm like, well, that's not even the player. That could be anybody drawn on there. Just somebody in a uniform. Yeah, that's my take, but people love the downtown, so, you know, it doesn't really matter.
Michael Ham, I can't imagine attempting to do daily content. It's some weeks it's the easiest thing in the world because it just takes care of itself, and there's some weeks when the struggle is real. But to Dakota's point, I don't edit. You know, Dakota's going all down the editing lifestyle now. He's going big time on us. My editings are minimal, but I'm also not on camera a lot during most of my videos, so it's a lot easier to edit when you're not on camera because you can't tell.
Yeah, I mean that's true. I'm really trying to innovate how we do YouTube card content. Like I want to do a better job of showcasing cards. I think just the Namath video. I mean, I've been putting out a lot of videos in the last like 5 days because I'm really experimenting and I'm trying to see what people like. I got a lot of good feedback on the Namath video. People,
It was really good.
liked
It was really good.
Mhm.
And so I think that's a much better way to showcase cards than to just show them like this, like especially like a special card or if it's a big item or something. So that's just where my headspace is.
And the first thing I thought when I saw your video, well, maybe it was my second thought. First thought was like, this is good, really good. Second thought was, damn, this was probably hard. I'll never do a video like this.
I mean,
my concern there would be on a video like that, because I know what it's like to at least attempt to even do something like that, like how much time and effort that takes. Is I feel like if I was trying to do content like that, there's no way I could do daily. I would burn out. Like I would burn out on spending like hours editing, because right now my editing, it takes me longer to record the video than it does to edit and upload the video, like for sure, 100%.
So sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead.
I couldn't do it earlier because I was working off a laptop basically this entire time, and about 2 weeks ago I finally got a desktop. And my editing, it saves so much freaking time. I mean, I have a really strong machine, and then that Namath video was about 2 minutes long. It took me an hour to edit, but it was my first time ever doing that kind of thing. So I think that I can drastically cut that down. And kind of my idea right now is, and I'm gonna do a mail day this week. And I'm really going to experiment with this, but basically just kind of showing you the card, kind of how I showed the Namath, but with my head up there talking and everything. But I'm just not going to fondle the card with my hands. And I hope that it gives a better picture of what the card is, especially because, and last thing, I'm not going to do it when it's a TJ Hawkinson Prism Silver. You get the idea.
He's great. Fantasy stud.
No, that's fine. But you get the idea. You know what the card is. But when it's something a little bit more unique and you don't see it as much, DeMarcus Ware rookie auto, or I've been buying a lot of patch stuff. The patches, you kind of maybe want to see that a little bit closer. That stuff I kind of want to showcase a little bit better.
Yeah, I was like, man, next time I buy a really big banger, I'm going to like pay Dakota to do a video for me.
I would do it, man.
I was thinking I should have done something like that with the Giant Size X-Men #1, and I could have overlaid the X-Men cartoon theme song over it. Would have been sweet. That would have
been awesome, dude. Yeah. So
yeah, I don't know that I felt like spending 2 hours clipping that all together.
Both of y'all, I'd be happy to help if you give me some ideas and guidance on it, because I want to hone that craft a little bit better. So
What software are you using for editing?
Well, it's called VideoPad Editor. It's like NCH is what it's called. It's just some cheap $60 thing. I mean, it's not. I mean, you probably should be using Adobe, and I tried to use Adobe, but it didn't work with my files. A whole thing. But I mean, most editors work more or less the same.
Look at DaVinci Resolve. It's free and it's really good.
Oh shit!
But I already own this one. I'm
just saying, like, if you're looking for other options, like DaVinci Resolve is legit really good and it's free. That's what most people use. It's a very powerful editing. So I've done some really nice stuff with it for work because I got roped into editing some work videos during the pandemic. Like you could do some really nice stuff on it. But it's free, even if you just wanted to tool around on it, it's free. You could just download it and just mess around with it. And
my max bid is in.
I
refuse to pay $400 for this card. Max bid $399.99.
I'm going to reverse this video. Zoom and pause.
Refuse to pay $400. The funny thing is, I was watching this card on My Slabs about 3 weeks ago. It was on my track list, and it was $350. And I was like, man, that's high in comparison to comps. And it sold. It sold off My Slabs for $350. I even looked at eBay. I even looked at the sales history on there to see if there was a deal done on it. It was sold for $350. So somebody paid what I thought was too much, and now here I am bidding $400 on the card I could have bought 3 weeks ago for $350. So there you go, missing the basement. But we'll see.
Harris asked, "What, if anything, would cause you all to fire sale your collection? Economic crash, value of cards significantly decreasing in less than a month, etc." I don't know that I could really get. I don't know if I have a great answer for this. I run such a lean inventory that to fire sale everything would feel over dramatic, I guess.
I mean, a
life event could happen that it's like,
what I mean.
That would be, I guess that would be my answer. Like something outside of cards would have to cause it.
Yeah, like this is all extra. Everything I do with my cards is extra income or whatever. Nothing
fake money. It's all fake money.
Nothing here comes in and out of my regular bank account. I actually have a separate bank account for for the hobby. So it's like, yeah, I mean, me and my wife, we would have to like lose our jobs, our house would have to go away, or something. It would have to be like drastic circumstances, like drastic circumstances to where I would be in the need for money, more so than what I already make in my regular job.
Yeah, I mean, I'm all on board with the keep hobby money separate from real money. With and like Dakota, you made the PC purchase or whatever. I think that's something that's a little bit different because that's not something that you're including in your Pelican case that you're going to shuffle around inventory with on.
Yep. When I PC stuff, I don't mind going into my budget or whatever from my primary bank account. But I mean, everything that I'm buying to flip or whatever, it's really just coming out of other card sales. That's it. And so then, yeah, I just don't see me fire selling.
Look at this. I hope sitting here on the beach having a drink for you guys. Look, living the life.
Tally lives a good life.
Damn. Peeps knows what it's all about. DaVinci Resolve, legit. Love it. The other nice thing about DaVinci Resolve, there's a million YouTube videos on it on how to do things if you don't know what you want to do.
Yeah, that's the one thing that sucks with mine, but that's what I've kind of noticed is basically every editor is the same. It's just kind of understanding where the buttons are at.
Dwayne says lots of basketballs disappearing from your watch list. Well, this card's about to disappear from your watch list if I get the right price on it.
Is it vintage?
No, it's not. I made a vintage purchase today, the George Gervin. And there's also two more I'm eyeing up. There's a nice Elvin Hayes and a nice Moses Malone. I'm looking at those.
We got a little super chat. Thanks for the regular content, guys. Keep it up. Look at that. Words of encouragement.
I got to keep the money into the flips as well,
He'll tell us, when does the auction end? People want to know. They want to know what it is, but I won't hold you to it till the auction ends.
I'll let you guys know in about, say, this many minutes.
As I say, so if I go pull up eBay and do PSA 10 ending soonest auction at around $400, we'll be able to figure it out.
I got my money on Tatum. That's where my money's at. That's what I think he's bidding.
I have two big offers in on some Tatums right now. If they get accepted, I'm spending a couple thousand. So
fake money is indeed best money. I agree.
It's just whether or not they accept those offers. And
Pedro's really big on the national stuff. We're just not seeing it, Pedro. Not for us, but you do you, man. Price is right. I'm going 401. Uh-oh. Some competition on here. If I missed any pertinent questions in chat, please repost them. I was kind of flying through stuff, trying to get through. They're guessing now. Optic Hollow PSA 10 MPJ from Jordan is the guess. That's a pretty good guess.
That's a real good guess.
Oh,
that's a really good guess.
A little too close to home.
That's a really good guess. He probably looked that up on my slabs. I give away too many clues.
I can tell by your face. Your eyes went a little and your smile picked up a little bit.
Jordan, you go drop your phone in the toilet or something just for the next 4 minutes.
Why do we make you want to give up the hobby cards and comics? Is that reference to us? Oh my. I'm curious for a follow-up on that cards and comics comment. You want us to give up? We make you want to give up the hobby. Oh my goodness. I do like MPJ. I do think his stuff in general is a little too cheap, and I do like him as a long-term. He's some back issues, but he's a very, very talented player for sure.
Which hobby? The card hobby or the comic hobby or both or the collecting hobby?
I know which one you should give up. But I'll leave.
Not comic books, because that's the best one.
No, get out of town,
man. Steve knows what's up. He was in on comic books for a while. M-Perk shouts out, with COVID numbers spiking again, do you think it will have a similar effect on the market as it did last year?
I like cards and comics. I watch his stuff.
What's that?
I watch cards and comic stuff, and he just said we make him want to give up on the hobby.
I don't know what he was. I don't know if that was towards us or towards chat or what hobby he was specifically talking about. I don't necessarily see if COVID lockdowns become a thing again. I don't know that it'll have the same effect again. I think that was a unicorn event.
Oh yeah, no, not on the market. No, I was thinking football and how that's going to play out, but on the market, no. COVID, I don't think really is going to have an effect on the market moving forward. I think that to me the question is, with COVID, as we get back to whatever normal is going to be with COVID kind of residing off to the side now, what is the new normal for the market? How does it, does it go down? What's it going to look like?
Yeah, the only thing I could see maybe COVID having an impact on is if some of the shows have to cancel. And then it gets back to that there's limited shows again, which is kind of what put Dallas on a pedestal for a long time. Which I also think has taken the shine. Dallas is still well respected as a show, but I think it's taken the shine off that show. It's not the event that it was 6 months ago. It's just another big regional show.
I'll be curious to see in December what it looks like because, it's the last 2 or 3 has been a little slow, but we had the big national, right? So in December, when we're 6 months out and 6 months away, what's it going to be like?
But December one's at a weird time too, because at that point you're 2 months into the NBA season, you're like the tail end of the football season. So what would be the hot thing at Christmas? I guess that's when baseball would start kicking off.
Although
I'm going to lose this card. I better bid higher.
Oh my gosh!
I don't want to lose it. I really don't. These don't come up that much.
I think
not for auction.
Why do we make you want to leave cards and comics? I'm very confused by that.
I know. I'll almost be like having him on my show just to talk about it.
Literally just put Optic Hollow. Jordan said he just searched Optic Hollow ending soonest at auction and found it.
Man, the bid's not moving. There's like 15 seconds left, but I'm feeling like I got to.
Well, there's a delay, so you should be good. There's
one last plug and play here.
There's like a 30-second delay here. So,
look, I'm going over my amount. Fuck it.
You peer pressured into this. He's pumping right now, folks.
Oh no,
he's setting up the finishing move.
Oh, I lost. No, wait, I won. Let's go.
What was the final number?
Hold on, I lost.
What was the final number?
Or lost. I lost at 4. It went for 414.
Oh, well, hey, you stuck to your number and you didn't go over, so good on you. Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah. That last bid came in.
So,
late.
Relevant to that, would you rather be into a PSA 10 hollow MPJ for 400 or a PSA 10 silver for 550?
I'd rather be in the 2 blue velocities for 175.
Oh, the Zag.
Just because you just saw what the hollow went at. What's the next card in that set that people are going to like? Now, I wouldn't say blue velocity in general. I would only say blue velocity because it's a color match for MPJ.
I like blue velocities, period. They're nice cards.
I agree. Yeah, blue velocity is dope.
For the price, because look at the Luka blue velocity. It's like a color match. It's from the same year. It's like big. It's a big card. So if you get the Michael Porter blue velocity under $200 and the Optic Hollows now, last sale was over 400, you're looking at 50% the price. You can get 2 of those for the price of 1 and have enough over to buy money left over to buy yourself lunch.
No, I would not consider 2019 MPJ cards as rookie cards at all. It doesn't work like that anymore. Cards and Comics says it's passing him by. He can't keep up with how it's being done. He just doesn't like the new school hobby, maybe.
Well, I would
just find your spot though. Just
find your niche, man.
Find what is there for you. I mean, there was something that made you love it to begin with. Find that. It's not gone.
As follow-up, comics are easier to do. Also, what I collect is becoming very hard to find out at 4x prices the last year. I mean, yeah, everything went up. But comic books too. I mean, not like comic books got any cheaper. That market went nuts as well. I'll pimp this real quick. My Marvel Monday video tomorrow, I have, I don't know if you've ever watched him, Steve, Comic Book Investments YouTube channel. His name's David. He's actually been a comic book dealer for the last 13 years. I have an interview with him dropping tomorrow. Really good comic market talk. It's about an hour long, but really solid video. It is a really good YouTube channel, but it's interesting. He has some interesting perspectives because he literally does comics full time. He is a comic dealer. That is his full-time job. So he has some interesting takes on the recent run up in prices and stuff. M Perk wants to know who in chat stole the auction.
They didn't steal it. I've always said that's why I never conceal what I'm buying from people. You know, I always say, hey, this is what I'm buying. When I do a video and say, hey, I'm buying this player, like it's because I'm really buying that player and I'm not trying to keep it a secret. And I've always said, if you outbid me, then you deserve the card.
Global Sports Card says MPJ or KPJ. I'm going to go KPJ because I'm a KPJ homer, but MPJ is probably the better play. Though actually, KPJ is probably a lot cheaper. It has more opportunity to spike higher.
He was a head case,
a
man.
lower entry point.
He's like one like breakdown away from being kicked out of the league.
Yeah, but he's also like a 40-point game away from doubling prices. He's one you got to move in and out of.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Yeah, that's what I mean. Don't.
No.
You know,
That's Dakota's boy now. Are you an actual Rockets fan, Dakota? Or
Yeah, I'm a Houston fan, and I mean KPJ seemed to have settled down. It seemed like it all kind of worked and clicked in Houston. It's going to be interesting. I saw a question about the Rockets, so I'm quickly KPJ or Jalen Green, who's going to start? I think it's going to be KPJ. They may both start them both, but they brought in some vets. I don't know. It'll be interesting to see what they do.
I think it could be both. I don't know why you couldn't get away with. They're going to suck anyway, so just play KPJ at the 3. He's a little small for that, but like, who cares? You know, that and John Wall will be hurt by like the second week anyway, and then they'll both start.
Well, neither one of them is really a point guard, at least from what I read, because that's what I thought too. But
KPJ ran the Cavs' second team offense when he was on the Cavs.
Yeah, so I don't know.
I don't know that like on an actual legit team that wants to win games, that's what you want, but I don't know that they care about that.
Yeah, they're not. I mean, they're just caring about developing young talent.
Yeah. The Toy Star cards and collectibles. I got a Luka Blue Velocity PSA 10 for $23.50 last month. Was that off My Slabs? Because I was looking to buy a Luka Blue Velocity off My Slabs about a month ago, and someone bought it before I could get an offer in on it. So you might have beat me to the punch on that one.
I tried to buy a Blue Velocity in the downtime, and it was
they kind of bottomed out around 2K.
Yeah, it was right at 2K flat when I was starting to get in on it, but auctions were, they were ending slightly over 2K, and you know how I like to set my price and be like, that's it. And 2K was kind of my price. I was kind of hoping to steal one at 18 or 19, and then they started going for 21 and 21.50 and 22, and I was like, well, damn it.
I think even
those steal one.
I like that card a lot.
It's a great looking card.
For sure. I'm a sucker for Optic too. Are you guys going to sub the PSA if it opens at $30 to $40 level? I still find the best ROI on auto grade. If PSA opens at $30 to $40 level, the other grading companies will be screwed. In my opinion.
Well, the other companies will
a lot of the smaller ones.
I mean, if PSA comes out at $30, SGC is going to have to drop to $10 or $15. I mean, there's just no option.
Well, I think they'll be able to too, because I don't think there'll be a lot of people grading with them if PSA has $30 to $40 price points. Yep. But I think the next price point we see, it's been all over the place. That it sounds like regular's coming back on or around October 1st, and it'll probably be at around $100 a card would be my guess. But I think Nat Turner was on with Ken Golden and said like regular's coming back within a month. Yeah, so even at $100 a card versus $30 for SGC, how much business do you think PSA takes away from SGC at only $70 more per card, given the liquidity and the resale prices?
I already made this video. It's going to come out Tuesday because you got a lot of flack when we went live on Wednesday for saying what you said for PSA and SGC. And so I did a deep dive into the two and the prices and stuff. And that's coming out Tuesday, already made. So how much would it change? I don't know. I have some thoughts, but I'm going to hold them. I'm holding that for the video on Tuesday. Sorry, guys. What
were people feisty about? I was reading comments for a while, but then I forgot to check back in.
There were quite a few people because basically you said, PSA is like better than SGC, like from a value perspective. And people were basically saying like, you're ignorant on the subject and you haven't done your homework. But I mean, we talk, whatever. Look, we talk about it. It all depends on what your price point you got in at versus where you're selling at. The question is SGC closing the gap? We'll answer that on Tuesday. And I don't think that you really advocated they were or they weren't. I don't think that's what you were saying. I
don't think we said that. We didn't talk about resale price points at all in that conversation.
Yeah. If we're going to talk about who should you grade with, well, if the price is the same, there's no question it's PSA, right? That's obvious at this point. So then you have to start to ask, at what point does it become more feasible to grade with SGC than PSA? And I think we answered that on Tuesday, so I'll see you there.
Yeah, I mean, I've always said you can make money grading with SGC. You just have to send them the right cards. You have to be selective on what you send them. You can't just send them everything. Because you have to, a lot of stuff in an SGC 9 will not sell for over the $30 price point. So you can't just send them like Jordan Love base cards and expect to make profit on those. But there's definitely the right card you could send them and make good money on them just churning and burning SGC subs for sure.
I'm not someone who really grades. If I'm sending a card somewhere to get graded, it's PC with the rare exception. Like I just graded that Josh Allen Obsidian, dual patch 4-color auto. that's a really high end card. It needs to go in a case. So let me do that and sit on it, see what happens, but I don't know, man. I don't see I don't really see that much value in grading to flip, really. I don't know, especially right now with how everything is.
Oh, on SGC, there's 100% an angle. Like if you have like a nice Herbert select, that's probably not like a silver. Like if you have an above average Herbert card, like SGC is the play to grade that stuff. Like for sure, 100%. I wouldn't buy an SGC slab personally, but I've talked about that in plenty of videos.
Yes.
And I do think that at $70 at $100 a card at a $70 price difference, more stuff is going to go to PSA. Like it's going to take business away from SGC 100%. Yep. I'm not saying it's going to shut SGC down or anything crazy like that, but they will definitely lose some cards to PSA at $100 a card.
I like like I told Dakota, I bought a SGC 9.5 the other night. I think there's a lot of sneaky value in that 9.5. It's still being valued at like a PSA 9 or less. And it's a potential 10 in an SGC 9.5. Depending on, whatever flaw SGC found in it to dock it a half a point. It may not be a flaw that PSA is going to punish it for. It might be the centering, Yep. 60-40, PSA is going to pass that as opposed to SGC is going to dock you a half a point. So I bought
SGC 9.5s are probably the best thing to buy. Like if PSA was open at reasonable prices, they're the best card to buy to crack and send the PSA as an SGC 9.5. It's not even close.
I bought this PSA 9 Topps Chrome Dwayne Wade. This card is a value in my eyes right now. This was $260. They're going between $240 and $260. But I got an SGC 9.5 coming in the mail that I got for $220. If that card looks really, really good, I can crack that. Worst case scenario, I'll get it back as a 9, and it's still worth the same amount that I paid for this. Or if it's a 10, now it's $1,000. It's $1,000 card. So I'm like, more than likely for me, I'll just keep it in that case and be like, maybe there'll be a run up on SGC 9.5s or whatever. I'm just happy with the card. I want the Dwayne Wade Topps Chrome cards right now. So in 9s or 10s or whatever, BGS, SGC, PSA, wherever I'm finding the value at. It's more about buying the value than it is anything.
Yeah, I mean, SGC 10s have already passed up BGS 9.5s. Like they've established themselves as like the number 2 on resale value. Like if you go basically goes PS, not counting like the gold labels and black labels and all that crap, but it's basically PSA 10, SGC 10, BGS 9.5, then throw in CSG and HGA, more so HGA 9.5s, then probably CSG, and then you get into SGC 9.5s around PSA 9s, and then BGS 9s slightly under that, and so on and so forth.
Yeah, so, the one thing. But like I was talking about BGS 10s earlier and how I'd like to get some. I've been noticing a run up on BGS 10s. Remember the night we were trying to figure out what kind of multiplier to put on it because we couldn't get a comp on that Zion. You were with me. And I've been seeing old cards like from the 90s through the 2000s up until today starting to look like a 3x multiplier. And I'm like, that's a big multiplier for a PSA 10 to a BGS 10.
For a BGS 10,
a BGS 10, yeah.
The BGS 10, man, it gets a lot of love and it deserves it. I mean, a BGS 10 is basically saying this is a perfect card. I know, Black Label is technically perfect, but BGS 10 gets a lot of. It's highly respected in the high end parts of the hobby.
That Zion, I was valuing at $3K, but an auction for a PSA 10 of that just went for around $2,400. So now I'm thinking to myself, that might be more of a $5K to $6K card, based on. If I'm basing it off other comps of modern, retro, and vintage, and I'm looking at 2.5 to 3x multipliers going off on all these sales, because I've been shopping BGS 10s, and I'm like, damn, I really didn't know they sold. I knew they had a premium, but I didn't know that they were establishing that kind of a premium.
Yeah. Let me see.
No, for sure. I want to go ahead and do what you want to do, because I want to switch to something really quick here, because I saw a comment that I want to make sure I don't lose.
I was just going to see if I'm just
going to pull this up just so I don't forget it, but go ahead.
Well, I'm just looking at the Zion base Prism right now. A BGS 10's going for the last one sold on 8/23 for $1,650, and that same day the PSA 10 was $400. I mean, it's 4x.
That's a 4x on a Prism base.
Yeah, but the pop count on that is probably like 100. I don't even know.
The pop count on this is 1.
Oh, Well, yeah,
No,
that's
on
awesome.
base, on the
I mean, that's
base.
phenomenal.
Yeah.
On the base, it's actually 677. Kind of surprising, but I mean, you've got 19.
Well, I guess when there's 20K PSA 10s,
Yeah.
that makes sense. That's still in comparison to the PSA 10 comp. That's pretty small. Ray asks, is PSA 9 worth investing in? 100%. I love PSA 9s. I absolutely adore PSA 9s. They go up in the same percentage. If you look at the stuff, they go up. If a PSA 10 jumps 50% in price, almost always, it might take like an extra week or two. Usually the PSA 9 goes up the exact same percentage. So if you're looking at it based off percentages, yeah, 100%. Because I saw someone answered in chat, no, they're not worth investing in. And I really strongly disagree with that take.
I'm going to say it depends on the year because there's so many PSA 10s flooded of the 2019 class. We were just talking about the how difficult it's going to be to make a Zion go up in price because of the pop report, how much demand it's going to take for that to go up. Pass that down to the 9s. Now it's even going to be even harder for the 9. If it's hard for the 10 to go up, it's going to be even harder for the 9. And when the population of 10s outweighs the populations of 9s, that really should never really happen. You should never have 20,000 10s and like 800 9s. That's just, I don't know what the 9 count is for the Zion, but that's telling me there's more of the premium grade out there than there is of anything else. So what makes the premium grade rare?
Yeah, that's a fair point.
When you start to trickle down through other years, and we're talking about 2015 Jokic prisms at PSA 9 right now at about $200. Now you're talking about value because that card doesn't have a lot of it. First of all, the print runs weren't as high. The PSA 10s aren't plentiful, and the 9s are still a nice card. That card pre-MVP season last year was $300. I remember buying them for $300 and flipping them for close to $600. That card's back down to $200. That's another card that's been on my watch list. So it may have gone up within the last couple days, but I know the last couple I saw end right around that $200 mark, which is not a bad buy on your last year's MVP player on a competitive team. That's an international star.
Yeah, Michael, I'm picking up what you're putting down now. Just circling back. Someone's wondering what Michael was wondering what the value was on the Zion Red. He puts it at about 5K. I'm trying to remember at the National. What was trade value on that? About 4K, wasn't it?
He wanted 4, but we couldn't come to a price.
You guys agreed on.
We couldn't come to a price. We ended up coming down some because I included cash on top, and he wanted more cash, but I give him lower cash. It came out to about, because I gave him the Kyler Murray, the Sam Darnold, and $700 in cash. I wanted to get.
I remember our side conversation you were into the Darnold and the Kyler for practically nothing.
Yeah, because I was like, I could probably move this in this room tonight for $3K and I'll be out on top. But I didn't even show it in the room that night because I didn't want to. Everybody was asking for Zion, so I was like, everybody wanted Zion because nobody wanted to sell Zion. Zion's been in a holding pattern because nobody wanted to sell him while he was down. Everybody wants to wait and sell coming into the season. So I was like,
someone said earlier in chat, and I didn't look that Zion's Optic Hollow PSA 10s really moved.
I saw one go for 15. I saw one go for 1,500.
That seems cheap, honestly, compared to what a silver goes for.
Yeah, but his select premier level silver hit what 2,500 last year, maybe. I can't remember.
But I think people were really soured on a lot of. But
it's come down. Well, the select premier level silvers are still looking good. Because I'm watching the John Morant's going off at around 850 to 900, but the concourse is still hanging around that 400 to 500 mark.
Jeff Becker, yes.
Yeah, if I missed a question, absolutely repost it because chat was flying. I got way behind and I skimmed real quick and just tried to grab, So yeah, if there's a question we did not get to, feel free to post it. I'm not sure how much longer we'll go for, but probably at least a little bit. Not. You guys can feel free to bail whenever. You don't have to stay on here for as long.
Hard Ladder refreshes their data in about 2 hours, and I'm waiting for that to make my video for tomorrow. So
look at you.
I get up tomorrow. I go to work. I get off work. I do a live stream. Then I'm leaving Tuesday to get out of town for like 2 nights with the wife and.
I have a question for you, actually, Steve. Are you going to keep doing your Monday live streams up against Monday Night Football? Am I going to have to choose?
Well, here's the way I look at it is that I feel like most people don't watch Monday Night Football from their desktop or their phone.
That's
So
fair.
to me, it actually is going to give people a reason to like be on their couch and in their house even more so than my live stream is. And they might just be like, well, what the hell? While football's on, I'll just put Flipping Steve on the phone. You know what I mean? As opposed to it's Monday night, I'm going out with my friends. They're like, no, Monday night, I'm going to watch football. Well, now I might as well watch Flipping Steve too. It doesn't matter.
I was trying to think of a way to incorporate like football being played and doing a live like Sunday morning or something. I think it's gonna work because I think people sit on the. I think you're 100% right. I think like I'm not gonna sit on the desktop like I usually do and watch you, but I'll be on my phone. You know,
Right.
I think Sunday morning gets tricky because a lot of people are like setting fantasy football lineups, making DFS lineups, and they're like focused on that. But I could see like Sunday night football or something. I don't know.
Thursday
I
night.
like
guess
to
we
just,
also
like,
have-
night.
sit down and chill and watch.
Is the off centered on the old Wednesday or Thursday nights now? I can't remember.
Thursdays, but I think they're moving it for week
They
one
don't
because
compete with the Bucs and
it's
Cowboys.
Brad's team plan. He wants to watch the Bucks.
Speaking of that, like the three of us are in a fantasy league and we haven't even talked about it.
We all play each other week one too. Me and Steve
I
play each
play
other
you
week one.
I play
And Sam plays Dakota week one.
I'm glad
Dakota's
you,
team sucks. I'm gonna win the league. I already
I'm
know.
glad Yahoo had you projected to beat me because Yahoo's always wrong.
It's ESPN, not Yahoo, so I'm even more safe.
I hate when Yahoo projects me to win because then I lose because I go in there feeling all good. Oh yeah, look at my Yahoo.
I heard you
They got
say you're
it.
disappointed in your team. I actually think your team's pretty good, Steve. I thought you did pretty well.
Well, you know what? I drafted.
You got Zeke really late. I like where you got Mahomes. I know you didn't necessarily want to draft a quarterback there, but
Yeah,
like where you got him at, I thought was a good value.
And that's the only reason I took him. I don't usually touch quarterback within round 5. Most of the time 7 because you can grab a Stafford or somebody there and still be competitive at the position. But when Mahomes was still sitting there in 4, and I had done 2 drafts prior. One that night, I was in the middle of finishing a draft as I was starting yours. That's why I couldn't come on live. And even in those, like Mahomes was going like second round and stuff. And I was like, and the one league is a big league. Like it's a big casino money league. I've been in that league for 11 years. There's actually a wait list. There's like a wait list of like 25 people waiting. The only way to get into that league is like if somebody dies or something. So it's like, and Mahomes went early in that league. I usually base a lot of my draft around that league because not saying that this league isn't competitive, but I mean, that league's like real, you know what I mean? Like it's crazy.
So did one of the guys in that league walk into your casino and you said, all right, I'm about to get a spot, go break some.
Oh no. I actually, when I started at the casino I'm at now 11 years ago, we started the league then. So I'm one of the original members.
Oh, that's cool. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Real quick on this one, I think we can answer this one pretty quickly. 8.5 grades for SGC and BGS, good grades on thick auto cards. I'm going to even remove the 2016 and earlier. I think on like a thick RPA, I think an 8.5 is fine. I wouldn't put like a big extra premium on an 8.5, but I'd be perfectly fine buying a BGS 8.5 RPA just to have it slabbed and protected.
The most important part about that is going to be your auto grade.
Yeah, it doesn't have an auto 10 grade is the key.
There's a Bird 8.5 flawless auto, but it's the auto is a 10. So
yeah,
what makes this card valuable, what makes people want to buy this card is the auto. If I take the auto off of this card, this is no longer a desirable card, really. So people are buying for the auto grade. So when you see autos graded 9s, and I can speak firsthand, I have a really nice Alexander Ovechkin RPA. It's a BGS 9.5, but the auto is a 9 because it's actually signed on a jersey swatch. He signed on top of the jersey swatch, so the ink held, but it just looks, when you sign on cloth.
Yeah.
And I couldn't move that in Dallas for the price I wanted to move it for, and that was the one sticking point that everybody told me was, man, if this was a 10, this would be an immediate sale because Ovechkin's hot. And you can put him away. He's one of the goats. And but the fact that the auto was graded a 9, I couldn't, get much of a premium for it. I didn't even move it because I was like, I'm not going to move it for what they want to give me for it. I just hold it.
Yeah.
Neo, real quick. I saw a question a few times. So Chris Smith, I'm Sports Cards Anonymous, and then that's Flippin' Steve.
Oh, my bad. I just always assume everyone knows who everyone is, but I guess that's a bad assumption.
Honestly, I'm surprised to see the comment, but I've seen him ask a couple times, and I just
I'm Neo, Northeast Ohio Cards and Comics. That's Dakota, Sports Cards Anonymous.
Back in the closet over there.
Got that a little backwards there. Jeff asks, at what point, if any, do you feel your video content is worth charging a subscription fee for versus continuing to roll it out for free? I could kind of take this one. If you guys want to comment on it, feel free. I mean, we technically all make some form of payment off of our content already. So it's not like it's air quotes free to varying degrees. Dakota and I have side deals with a couple companies, plus YouTube ad revenue, plus affiliate shenanigans. So it's not like we're not getting at least some compensation for what we're doing. I don't want to speak for them, but I don't know that I would ever put like a gate on my content as long as I'm at least getting like something from, YouTube or affiliate marketing or whatever, just to at least say like, oh, at least I make a little something off this so I could buy some cards with. If that ever changed where YouTube's like, we're not paying you anymore, maybe then I would look at something like that. But I don't know in the current ecosystem that I would ever charge an additional fee for what I do.
I would never charge a fee. I mean, I know when you first get monetized, YouTube really pushes you to kind of put that stuff in there. But I certainly would never charge a fee. And I don't even, thanks to Neo's advice early on, I probably won't even have membership turned on. So
I mean, you could turn it on if you want to catch a bunch of flack for it.
Like, yeah, I do this for fun. Like, my videos are monetized. The thing is that I think YouTube even put out a thing saying, if you don't monetize your videos, we're going to do it.
Yeah, they changed their platform.
They changed the platform. Yeah.
If you meet the requirements, you might as well turn it on because they're putting ads in front of your videos anyway. So you might as well at least get, something out of it, even if it's not a lot.
That's what happens. So anybody out there who qualifies for monetizing your videos, if you think not monetizing them is saving your viewers from watching ads and stuff, if they don't have YouTube Premium, YouTube's going to monetize, because YouTube is using it as a way to be able to monetize people's videos who don't qualify. Like if they don't have 1,000 subscribers or 4,000 watched hours or whatever, say they're new and they get 300 subscribers and they've only got 5 videos out, YouTube used that rule so that they can slap ads on you guys' videos. So they can slap ads on ours if we don't choose to. So, we might as well do it just to do it. It's going to be done anyway. So as far as a subscription, the only time I ever tossed that idea around when I was like, oh, when I do my live drive, maybe I'll make it like just exclusive. But then I was like, I don't want to make anything exclusive because at that point, I don't want anybody to feel left out. And then, even if it's $1, $1 to somebody could be their kid's school lunch. You know what I mean? So I was like, forget about it. And then, and I do it for fun anyway. Like I said, I do it for fun. It's not like this is a chore or a job. And I do 1 video a week and a live stream. And in fact, I look forward to the live stream most of the time. Sometimes I'm tired, but so. Yeah.
I mean, I do it for fun too. I mean, I use it as a way. It is, don't get me wrong, it is an absolute ton of fun, but I also use it as a way to, I've mentioned this before. Like, I don't grind dollar boxes. This is me grinding a dollar box. Like, me doing daily content is my version of sorting through a bunch of dollar boxes and flipping that stuff, because I use pretty much all the money that I make off content to go buy comic books and cards. So I just view it as a different, aspect of monetizing the hobby to a different degree.
Have you ever thought about merchandise though? Because I've got 3 Instagrams within the last 2 days of people asking me if I have T-shirts and hats.
I want stickers.
That watch me. It's their birthday, and I was like, I have the stickers, and that wasn't something I ever planned on selling. When people win giveaways, they get stickers. When I see people at those, I give them stickers. But like,
I feel like the amount of people that would actually buy it,
I know that's why I
buy like the prints that you would have to do to make it worth making them, if that makes sense.
That's the way I am. I'm like, one person, I'm like, who the hell wants a T-shirt with me on or my name on it? I'm like, nobody wants that. And then I get messages on Instagram, when are you putting out merch? And I'm like, never.
I would like stickers to like hand out. Like when people come up to me at a show and are like, hey, are you Neo or like whatever, are you Rob? I would like to have a stack of stickers to at least hand something to someone, but I need to get a logo first. That's on my list.
Here, you can hand out my stickers in the meantime.
And I'll do another. This is like pulling back the
Mr.
curtain
10K
for people that might not understand like the whole. This
you
is
need a
like
Mr. 10K T-shirt.
There you go. Like content creation side of things, like YouTube ad revenue is only a very small portion. I guess it depends on what you're doing, how you're marketing yourself. You really actually do better with like corporate partnerships and affiliate stuff compared to like actual straight YouTube ad revenue. Like actual YouTube ad revenue is actually not that much in the grand scheme of things.
I just want to go to merch. I do feel like I'm in a unique position with merch, and I get approached about it quite a bit. And I think at some point I'm probably going to do purple shirt merch, but
yeah, you kind of have like your little niche thing with the purple shirt stuff.
yeah.
This guy pulled a big LaMelo card. I'm not a big LaMelo guy. I would sell it as fast as humanly possible, but that's me.
Sell for 1,000 eBay. I would definitely sell it if I got offered 1050. Try to sell it for 1,000 off eBay.
Yeah, go to
so if you'll sell it for 1050, then you're willing to settle for whatever 10 to 15% less of 1050 is going to be. So that give somebody a deal and make yourself more money.
That might be one worth super expressing through PSA. I don't know.
I would almost just sell it raw, honestly, at that price. I don't know. It just depends. I think
it's graded out of 10, so it's graded out of 10. So I guess when you get into low serial numbered stuff like that, I don't think there's a huge premium for the 10s because there's just not many of that card. If somebody can't get into 10, they're going to get into 9 or vice versa. Just like one of ones, a lot of people ask, should I get one of ones graded? Well, if you want to PC them and have them in a slab or whatever, but a one of one is a one of one, unless it's like cut in half or something. Now, I guess it's a half and half of one, half of one. But I mean,
unless it's a select 2021 and there's 37.
Yeah, true story.
Which to his question, old select is taking a beating. What would it take to settle at least back to the same level as Optic? I think it's going to be the third now. We kind of actually opened the live stream with this. I think Optic's the number 2 dog in the race behind Prism now, at least for the time being. And I think Select just has a PR problem right now. I think field levels and court sides will still do okay because those kind of have a legacy to them. But I think Concourse and Premier are kind of lost in the weeds right now.
I think
they're the third dog.
I think those dogs are going to continue to pass each other. And hear me out. And this is why, is because people like that third card because that falls within their budget. But once they start buying it and it becomes the popular one, now it pushes up. So Optic was second, Select was third. Everybody loves Select. They were like, oh, it's a great card. It's third in value. It fits within my budget. It pushed up. Now, what can they buy? Oh, well, now I got to go to Optic. It's the third. I think it'll run a course where Optic gets pushed up, Select comes down. And I think that'll continue to happen where these two either just stabilize at the exact same or one continues to outpace the other based on what people can afford within their budget driving something up.
I think the only thing that Optic Hollow has a little bit of an edge on it is it's 1 versus 2. Like, I feel like it's almost kind of like splitting the MVP vote where like Select Concourse and Select Premier are kind of battling against each other, whereas Optic Hollow doesn't have that, if that makes sense.
Yeah. And also, if people like last year, people started to really understand the rarity of Premier level, not just in silver form, but in base form. Because it wasn't printed as the basic. It's basically a variation. And another thing that people have noticed about Prism is the variation photos. And
those are criminally underrated.
But they're really pushing up. I think the Zion is up to over 1,200 now, I think. And
which it should be. They're a very low pop. And it's a better photo.
And I was looking to buy the Jaws like a couple months ago cheap, and now they're up. I mean, I bought a bunch of the guys that I was prospecting on. Like I bought a bunch of DeAndre Hunter behind the backs and a bunch of Tyler Hero behind the backs, dirt cheap. But
correct me if I'm wrong. There's not silvers of those, but there's discos of those. There are fast breaks. Yeah,
fast breaks, but no silvers. Yeah.
Jeff has a question. I guess this will just be for me and Steve. Now that the National is a month behind us, what was your biggest regret looking back, or what would you do differently? My answer to this would be, I wish I got there on Wednesday night instead of Thursday.
You got like the same answer as me. I wish I would have got there earlier and even stayed probably some on Sunday. Like it just seemed too short. Even though when we were there, I was tired every day, physically and mentally. But I feel like at the end of it, when I got home, I was like, and I was ready to come home because you miss home, you miss your family. But when I got home, I was like, wow, that was awesome. I wish I'd had a couple more days of that.
Yeah, I didn't like the idea. So we drove in, and I didn't get to the show until about 1:00 on Thursday. And the whole time I was in the car driving there, I'm like, why didn't I just leave last night after work? And then even if I didn't go to the show Wednesday night, just to be able to hit it ground running on Thursday morning.
I mean, Dustin met you on the floor. I can't remember what time it was.
Yeah, it was. I got there a little bit before him, I think. We all kind of arrived at the same time on Thursday within like an hour of each other. The other thing that I would like to try to do for next year is maybe leverage the YouTube channel to the reach of the YouTube channel to try to get a vendor pass to get in early.
Oh, take my entire box to trade night, not just a little pouch of like 6 cards. That was
that was a major. Yeah, Steve shows up at the Lowe's Hotel with like 3 cards on him, and it's literally a second card show broke out.
I'll throw in there. I did not go, but I still have regrets. If next year I don't go, I would like to maybe try to schedule some time with people who are there during the week, just do like a 15-minute or 20-minute Q&A, just to get feedback as someone who's not there and I got questions. So.
Yeah, and to your point, Sunday, like I had the opportunity to go to the show floor on Sunday, but a lot of people that I knew had left already or were in the process of leaving, and I was also out of cash because Steve fleeced me Saturday night for the baker, so I was out of money. So I woke up Sunday morning and I could have gone on the show floor for a couple hours, and at that point I was just like, you know what, I told my wife, I was like, let's just pack up and head home. I think I would rather get there a day and a half or that half day earlier and still leave on Sunday morning than get there Thursday and stay all day Sunday. Would be my, like, if I was going to choose one, I would rather have that extra day on the front end than the back end. But It is exhausting. I mean, it was.
Time went so fast because I was all about, tonight I'm going to go out and check out Chicago. I'm going to take a riverboat ride and check out the architecture. And night came and I was at a trade night, like in a hotel. And then I was like, I'm going to wake up in the morning and I'm going to go. And the last day I did, actually, Saturday morning, I was like, I want to go at 9 a.m., take a boat ride, see some of Chicago, and then come back and go to the show. And I couldn't get anybody to go with me. So I was like, man, Michael Ham, my road dog, don't want to go with me. Dustin don't want to go with me. We opened a 89 box of Pro Set football that morning, I think, in a hotel. And that was like one of Dustin's videos. We opened that just for nostalgia purposes to have fun. Yeah, everybody else was ripping National Treasures. We were like, we got some 89 Pro Set. Let's do it.
It would have been nice to have, like, I feel like I was pretty lucky. I got to meet everyone that I wanted to meet and say hey to, except for your point exactly, which you mentioned this on the Friday video. Elite Co 3 was the one that eluded me, which Filmington actually told me he's elusive to begin with. So he was very in and out of the show very quickly. Because I told Filmington the one night, I'm like, damn, I was like, is Nolan still here? Because I know that he knows him. And he's like, he left already. And I was like, damn it. He's like the one guy on my list that I didn't get to. Everyone else I at least had a chance to say at least like hi to, nice to meet you. And most people I at least had like a 5 or 10 minute, conversation with. But that to me, the biggest takeaway was those, even if it was just for 5 or 10 minutes, like the conversations with people, like hanging out with everyone, which everyone said this, but like I had an amazing conversation with Sam, and I think her name's Ty, that runs Bullpen LA in the Lowe's Hotel. That Saturday night that we were there, like we talked for almost over an hour, like just chilling up in the front away from all the hubbub about all different kinds of sorts of hobby nonsense. And it was like just a great conversation, stuff like that. Or like meeting people that I wouldn't, like I would have never met her if it wasn't for the Ty from Bullpen LA. Or Cardi C was another guy that I didn't really know that I met, who has a YouTube channel. He doesn't post a lot of content anymore, but it was like cool to meet him and talk to him for a little bit. I didn't really know him, but like I immediately was like, man, this guy's got a lot of knowledge. Pepino Man I met that I didn't really have any contact with prior to the National. And then just random people like that, just viewers and stuff to have a quick conversations with them was great. But
AF Alam actually says he's not a big fan of Pro Set. Come on, man. What's not to love about Pro Set? Unless he's talking about the new stuff that Leaf was putting out that said Pro Set on it.
Yeah.
I mean, 89 Pro Set? Come on, man. Everybody's got
Did y'all see the new Leaf stuff? The auto patches? They are slick. Now they don't have the rights to the NFL, but like there was I think it was Dan Marino. No, it was Joe Montana. 3-color game used patch, beautiful auto, beautiful card, looks like flawless. They do a good job of trying to hide the fact they don't have the logo on the helmet, but I don't know, man. They're pretty nice.
I think it's a good PC card, but I wouldn't. Look at Flawless Baseball. They look fantastic, and they sell for a fraction of.
It's a shame. Panini makes some really nice baseball products, but so does
maybe we'll
Topps, I
have
guess,
licensed Flawless Baseball in 5 years here. KPJ selling well of late. Would you chance holding him into the season or take a solid market now? I mean, if you're making a solid profit, if you have multiples, sell most of it off now and just roll one in the season, free roll one in the season, depending on how many you have. I would say that with any player, KPJ especially, just because of the finicky nature of him. And I love KPJ.
I've looked into KPJ because it just takes a big gain. You know how there's just some people that the hobby want to see do well that have adopted. Bowl is one of them,
Keldon Johnson's one of them. There's like a list that you could go down that, like, if they do anything at all, stock ace to the moon.
People are waiting to see it and want to see it. The thing that I found with KPJ, because I've looked into him just for that reason, because I believe there's quick flip opportunity for him, but the price point has got to be good. And everything that I'm seeing on KPJ is just a little bit above what I want to pay for him because of the risk. Like he's probably selling for more than Michael Porter Jr. is right now. And I think Michael Porter Jr. offers you a little more.
It's less. KPJ Prism Silver is about $350. And I think MPJ Prism Silver is a couple $100 more than that.
Okay, so I never do Prism search. When I search, I just search Optic and select.
I assume usually that translates down, so I would assume it would be the same.
But
go ahead.
And people aren't letting KPJ go at auction, really. Not that much, because
everyone knows, like, he's gonna throw 40
thing.
Up in a game, and his prices are gonna go nuts.
That's the problem. To get in a KPJ, you kind of got to go for an overpriced buy it now.
At least you can find patient.
Yeah.
Would you ever consider taking your wife to the National? Seems like 96 straight hours of cards. I know Dustin took. This might be a question for Dustin. I think his wife actually genuinely enjoyed the show floor. My wife came on the show floor for a day and was like in shock and awe. The first 20 minutes on the show floor, we walked past probably a 30K deal. There was like 30,000 in cash on the table, and my wife was just like, "What in the hell is happening right now?"
For my wife, the card show itself would be a no. She's just not. We've been together for over 20 years, and there was times when she would be standing next to me in the LCS while I was spending my entire paycheck on wax. So she, she's got just bad memories of, and that was back when we were young. I mean, we were young. We both hadn't had our careers and stuff yet. So literally buying a box of wax was like, man, now I hope we can pay the rent this month type deal. You know what I mean? So it was like, so she's not a big fan of the car shops because she likes to know, she knows I like to stand in there and talk a long time too. And she just kind of stands there and is lost in the sauce. So, but seeing the city together and stuff would be awesome because we like to travel together and do stuff. But
I was lucky enough that when we went to the National, my parents were in town as well. So my wife went and hung out with them on the days that she did not go to the show. So, she was out bumming around with my mom shopping and stuff while I was at the show. So that was kind of nice from that perspective. I think next year would be a better wives trip because they could go to the beach if your wife's into the beach.
Oh, yeah. Well, Atlantic City is right near where I live. I'm like an hour and a half away. I mean, I could drive to and from the National every day if I wanted to from home.
Yeah, but you really want to do that after like a 3 a.m. trade night?
And have they announced where in Atlantic City it's going to be held yet?
The convention center.
Okay, because I just got to figure out which casino/hotel is closest to that.
I don't think there is one. That's the problem that's why a lot of people don't like Atlantic City. There's not a hotel attached, or there's like one hotel attached.
Well, maybe not attached, but within the vicinity.
I think you pretty much have to drive it every day. The way I understand it, I could be wrong on this.
Can I catch a ride?
I don't think it's within walking distance. What's that, Dakota?
No, I said, can I catch a ride, Steve? I would just Uber or whatever. I mean,
yeah, I never walk. I mean, I had to Uber every day, even at the National anyway, because I was a little ways away. Not too far, but, like a 4-minute maybe Uber. But
I was across the street. That's definitely the play. Stay within walking distance of the convention center.
But it'll be way different. Like in Atlantic City, if you're staying in any one of the boardwalk hotels where the casinos are at, then you have the boardwalk and the beach. Now and it'll be July, so it'll be freaking packed with beachgoers. But
yeah, that's why I think next year would be a better, like if you wanted to take your wife, because there's more things for a wife to do in Atlantic City than there is in Chicago. Because Chicago, you're not close to downtown at all.
Yeah.
Like you're a ways out from the city.
My thing is that I know a lot of people in the casino industry. I know a lot of people that work in AC, so I've
been saying for a while to
get
play
my room
next
for
year,
free next year.
Just rent a beach house, Airbnb beach house.
Shoot, I might be able to do a really good giveaway on the channel next year. Shit.
Dakota and I will be fighting for a slot on it. So Dakota, are you gonna? I mean, assuming like family stuff and everything, unless you got baby 2 on the way. Are you aiming to try to attend the national next year?
I have every intention to be in the national next year. Yeah, I mean, so for those of y'all that don't know, I've got a baby, our first baby, due in about 15 days now. So I mean, it all just kind of depends and revolves around that. But I would assume that by July, I can go up there for a week or whatever.
I'm just reading the
Borgata Casino is somewhat close to the convention center. I heard that there's like one hotel that's kind of close, but a lot of people were saying even if it's within walking distance, you probably don't want to walk it because it's Atlantic City.
When you get away from the Atlantic City boardwalk and like 2 blocks in, it's not a very good area. I mean, I guess 2 blocks in, if you're near Caesars, Bally's, Wild West casinos, they're all attached. You have like a shopping district and a food district, so that's not too bad. But once you get a couple blocks down the boardwalk and in, then it gets a little rough. Now the Borgata is not on the boardwalk. That's one of the casinos that actually sits in the city. Borgata and Harrah's are not on the boardwalk, and everything else is on the boardwalk.
Yeah, they're saying the Sheraton Hotel too, potentially. I mean, I would drive to Atlantic City most likely, like I did to Chicago. It's like a 7-hour drive, 8-hour drive for me. I would probably honestly just drive that because then I would probably turn it into like a mini vacation as well. So like go to a couple places on the way.
There'll be a lot more nightlife. There'll be a lot more nightlife because the casinos are open 24/7. So
I wonder if that. I know a lot of dealers say they don't like it because people spend their money more in the casino than on the show floor.
Yeah, I don't know if people will tend to flood the casinos and go out because you drink 24/7 too in the casinos. Liquor, it's not like places have last call at like 1 and 2, and in Atlantic City there's not a last call. So at least inside the casinos. So it's like I don't know if that'll affect the trade nights and stuff or not, where people have other options to do things. Hope not, but
yeah,
I can see a lot of people finding other things to do in Atlantic City as opposed to Chicago. It seemed like a lot of stuff closed kind of early in the area, even like food outlets or like restaurants and stuff.
The other smart play that I made was ordering a large deep dish on day 1 and had that available in the hotel room for leftovers throughout the week to just be able to run across the street and grab a quick snack if I wanted to. That was also a very nice feature of being across the street. Like if I wanted to, I could, it was 10 minutes for me to walk off the show floor basically and back to the room. If I just wanted to be like, I just need like 30 minutes to like time out to like go sit down, like reevaluate, maybe check some comps on some stuff away from the show floor, grab a snack and like kind of like reset myself and then head back in again. That was definitely a clutch play for being across the street from the convention center. So I'll take this one really quick. I would say no, I would not grade that at current grading prices for a 95 Fleer Wolverine. I don't think the flip is there. I've been hearing a lot about AEW. I've never watched AEW and I haven't really watched Modern Wrestling much, but I have heard a lot of hype about AEW.
Man, you want to hear one of the loudest crowd pops? Go back and watch the video of CM Punk's debut.
I did watch that because I saw it going around on Twitter.
They saved it for Chicago, and that crowd pop was crazy. Now, I knew Daniel Bryan was coming in. I knew Adam Cole was released from NXT/WWE, but I didn't know he was coming in. I'll have to go back and watch that sharpshooter. Did they bring him in together as a team? Did they bring him in feuding with each other, or they just bring him in completely separate?
Yeah,
bringing them both in at the same time would kind of like hurt one of their
steal some of the thunder.
Steal some of the thunder. I would think though.
Regarding CC2 trade night, most likely, but I am not 100% sure yet. CC2 trade night is on Friday the 17th. And there is a semi-local card show, 1 of 1 in Cleveland, is doing a trade night on the 18th. So I may try to go to one. I may try to go to both. I may go to neither. It's probably going to depend on a couple different things. Most likely what Ohio COVID numbers look like, as they are beginning to really spike. So I don't know if I like the idea of going to a trade night in a small room with 70 people. So that'll be part of it. And the other part of that is that, like, not to go too big of a deep dive here, and I don't want to get into this whole debate, but I'll be like, if everything holds, like 4 days away from getting a booster shot for vaccines. So I don't know if I really want to do something stupid. I don't want to say stupid, but something maybe potentially not smart 4 days before I'm due to get a booster shot. So I don't know. I would like to. I am strongly considering at least CC2s, but I don't know yet. I'm kind of playing that one by ear, but I would like to go. You guys should come in for a Card Collector 2 trade night at some point in time.
I might. I moved back to my old team at work, and I go up to Columbus sometimes. So.
Yeah, you have to. It seems like he was doing them about once every 6 to 8 weeks, and then he paused because of the national. So I'll be curious to see what his pace is now that they pick back up again. So, but I will for sure, even if there's not a trade night, if you come into Columbus, I will for sure drive down. Like,
yeah, with me, it's about not having unlimited vacation time. I got to use vacation time from work when I want to attend these shows and stuff, and still balance enough vacation time to go somewhere. COVID just canceled my vacation to Puerto Rico, so
I'm trying to plan a vacation right now, and it's a freaking nightmare. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, we usually like to travel outside of the United States, and we just have realized, well, we're just going to have to stay. So we just, instead of going to Puerto Rico, we're just going to fly to Miami and drive to Florida Keys.
That'd be fun.
The next show you guys are planning on attending, Steve, I know you're doing Raleigh show. Yes. I have a bunch of local ones. Dakota, you're probably out of the show scene because of the kid coming for a while, or just depends?
I got a small one in 2 weeks I might go to, like right when the babies do. We'll kind of see. But I talk about the big Houston show. They're back on track for February, so that'll probably be my next big one.
I am doing so it's the Raleigh show will be the 18th of this month, and then I believe it's going to be the 26th. I'm going to be at the Philly show. So I have 2 coming up in the next couple of weeks. The Saturday of the Raleigh show and the Sunday of the Philly show. For me, the Philly's only an hour, 20 minutes away.
Deshaun Watson injury situation last season, reason why you would only take low risk stabs in the NFL in season. That has nothing to do with Deshaun Watson specifically. It's just the injury risk in the NFL is so high. Like, look at Dak last year. Look at Zeke last year. Like, I mean, it's just any play, those guys could just be toast. And it's not like NBA where they're toast for 3 to 6 weeks. Like, there's could be like legit career altering like, is J.K. Dobbins ever the same player again? Like, running backs don't bounce back from ACLs as great as some of the other players do. So I just, the risk in NFL, I tend to be very risk averse, and just carrying most NFL in the season seems like a risky proposition. I would rather sell it all before the season starts and then buy guys on the dip with that money in season. So, any takes on that, either one of you guys, while I scroll through chat here?
I would say I don't disagree, but I also, I'm a football guy, and I tend to hold stuff because I'm a dummy and I enjoy it. So,
yeah, normally the only people that I'll carry into a season, and this year that's pretty much no one, are people. Okay, I'll check the strength of schedule. If I think a quarterback has 3 gravy wins and nothing, like we said, any given Sunday, but if I think a quarterback is heavily favored, like for 3 weeks, maybe I'll carry them into the season because a 3-0 start is not going to hurt their cards. If I'll carry backup quarterbacks into the season, that's another thing. I like to pick 5 backup quarterbacks. I like 5 backup quarterbacks, and you can get them so cheap that you only need to hit on one. Somebody asked about a flip earlier, and I forgot to bring up one. I carried a Contenders on ticket auto BGS 9.5 of Marcus Mariota into the season last year. $40. Okay, $40 going into the season. He gets in 1 game with the Raiders and plays well. That card sold that night on eBay. Buy it now for $450. So $40. I stashed it. He got to play. I knew Gruden liked him anyway. And then $450 that night. I had people offering me for that card left and right. It was listed at $450. I kept getting offers. to the point where I was like, somebody's just going to buy it for the full price, and they did.
I was super jelly of that flip. I remember watching the video when you talked about that flip. I was like, man, that was a good one. That was a good one.
We talked about Mosaic a bunch. I know Dakota likes Mosaic, but I think that our general takeaway, we have varying takes on Mosaic. Just to answer this one real quickly, none of us really like Mosaic base, so I would stay away from Mosaic base and try to go to some sort of color.
Just even less so basketball. I like Mosaic football. Basketball, it's in a weird space. I don't trust it. But football, I like a little bit more.
And I definitely wouldn't buy it online raw because Mosaic base is a tough set.
It's a very tough set. Though, actually, I was surprised by this. The PSA 10 pop on Zion is high, especially when you compare it to 9s. Like, there's a lot more 10s than 9s. Mm-hmm. I did not think that was going to be the case. I was surprised by that.
From what I saw, Mosaic basketball was a little bit better quality than football.
That very well could be the case. My Mosaic basketball was a mess. A lot of it. I had a lot of stuff that I couldn't grade, and I ripped a lot of Mosaic basketball. Just real quick on comic grading with signed stuff. That gets tricky on grading because CGC will not grade the auto in a yellow label unless they witnessed it. So that you have to you might be better off to send that to CBCS. They'll note that it's an autograph, but they'll put it, I think it's a green, purple label, maybe. I don't remember. But they'll just put a note like, has this person's name on cover, but they will not authenticate the auto unless they witnessed it.
Yeah, because CBCS or whatever will, because they're
and CBCS has gotten in some hot water with that recently because they offed a bunch of fake ones.
Yeah, and they're like Beckett's their parent company.
They're part of Beckett. Yeah. Smoking Crack. If you think people will drop SGC like a bad habit, PSA comes. I'm not saying they're going to drop SGC like a bad habit. I'm just saying they will lose business to PSA because there is a big enough resale difference on PSA 10s to SGC 10s that people will take the risk for the extra $70. Like, for sure. Not everybody. I'm just saying a certain percentage stuff will shift to PSA at $100 a card because people will see the big price tag on a PSA 10 and they will want to roll the dice for that.
It's an expected value equation. That's all it is.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, we talk about it all the time. Grading is a math equation. Price of card, price to grade, price it resales for, and then you kind of have to the turnaround time is a mystical thing that you got to kind of guesstimate, mix in, depending on what time you're sending it in versus when you want to try to sell it and all that stuff. I'm not really. Do you guys, air quotes, invest in wide receivers at all? I do think they're a little safer than running backs, but in general, I think it's been fairly proven. Most position players just don't hold a ton of value for football. DK Metcalf's like the only guy I can really think of that has like a reasonable price tag on a PSA 10. Yeah,
DK. I mean, because some of the thing about receivers is, and I talked about this kind of like with basketball players. A lot of receivers are outspoken. A lot of times they're the most, I don't want to say the diva, but they're the most outspoken person on their team. Sometimes they're more recognizable than the other players because they want a lot of camera time. Terrell Owens, I love me some me. You know what I mean? It's like, or did Randy Moss say that? I can't remember. But anyway, I think receivers hold value in the long term if they become really good, if they have a really great career. Because if you look back on the guys like I just talked about, Rice and Moss and Owens and those guys, they still hold some value. Like people go back and buy their cards.
But that's like one guy. I mean, like the guys you just named, like other than Owens and Moss, they overlapped a little bit, but you're talking like maybe two guys like in a decade period.
I mean, I could probably go down a list of some, but
even like look at how good Julio Jones has been, and his cards don't sell for that much.
He's always hurt.
But look at it. Like if you look at his career numbers, though, overall,
his career numbers are great. But he's never really, he's never really won anything.
I know Megatron sells for a decent amount, and that's
he actually
kind of interesting considering that he retired early.
Yeah,
but I mean, he was a freak of nature when he played. I love drafting that dude in fantasy. I loved watching him play football. And I think a lot of people feel that way.
We saw a run up on Michael Thomas before he got hurt, but again, then you're talking about position players getting hurt. AJ Brown has some value.
He has a lot of bad knees too. I'm a little worried about him.
Yeah,
I do like him as a player because he reminds me of Megatron. Honestly, he's the most like Megatron I've seen since Megatron.
Even Odell Beckham Jr., even though he hasn't really performed up to his standards, whatever his standards, I don't know what his standards are anymore, but
his stuff
still holds collectability though. Like people still buy it because of him.
Yeah,
just because of him. He is a superstar.
Yeah, but like his Topps Chrome PSA 10's like $60 for like a base card on a PSA 10. It's not that much. I have one. It doesn't resell for that much at all.
I would just say if you're trying to spec this stuff long term, it's probably not going to be very beneficial to do it for non-quarterbacks. You can make money on every player in the NFL in the short term. I buy defensive linemen and rookies. If I get it for 50 cents, I know I can make $1.50 on it. So,
well, the problem with wide receivers is that you could be like even Julio Jones, like he can have say 1,700 yards in a season. He's going to have some down weeks. Like wide receivers are the most inconsistent of all the players on a week-to-week basis because they're completely dependent on the quarterback having a good week for the most part. So there's just a lot more on a micro level going week to week on them. There's a lot bigger chance that they can have a dud week and then blow up the next week. So if you're looking for quick flips and stuff like that, I think that hurts the overall wide receiver chart.
Yeah, I don't invest in wide receivers. You just see a little bit of movement with guys like DeAndre Hopkins, Devontae Adams. Those guys do get some movement. I don't know if it goes throughout the season, but
Hopkins is another one. He's fantastic, and I don't think his stuff sells for it. He got a bump when he went to the Cardinals, but that was more off the news than anything he did on the field.
No, when he caught that Hail Mary against the Bills last year, his stuff exploded.
Yeah, that was
Kyler Murray stuff too.
I remember I had Murray and Hopkins on the same fantasy football team, and that was a nice little moment for me. Biggest risk I ever took. I'm trying to think what it was. Like, I mean, KPJ's risky, but I was into him for so cheap. Probably the biggest risk I take is the amount of money I have sitting on Baker, to be quite honest. But I can't think of like really going out on a limb. I usually try to specifically buy people that are established already to avoid that. We'll probably wrap up here in a few minutes. So let me try to scroll through here and get any last minute questions. Perk says my dart throw would be the SGC would lose about 20, maybe 30% of their business they are currently getting. I think that's probably a fair number to throw out there. And that's assuming they come back at $100 a card. We don't know that they're going to. It could be more than that. They very well could roll out 150. There is also rumors. I've heard this a few different places, but I haven't been able to put my finger on it. There's smoke about them potentially releasing a redesigned slab. It would be the same size and shape, but it would be more like how CSG is crystal clear, like that, and also an inner sleeve on PSA slabs.
Oh, PSA.
Tweak the slab to make it like, imagine like the same form factor as a PSA slab. That's not going to change, but it would be like that crystal clear, like an HGA and CSG. And an inner sleeve, which I think Nat's already said an inner sleeve is coming. They're working on it. So like a BGS inner sleeve.
That sounds good.
Well, I would say my last small PSA order that I got back, I was showing Dakota this last night where it was a little bit different on the smaller card. Remember I was showing you the soccer card. The framing that they used was different, and these slabs actually look. Now I don't know if it's because they were brand new, but when I got these slabs out, I was like, "Damn, these slabs are clear." Now, I don't know if they've already gone to using a different type of slab. They already have a different setup because I compared the Mickey Mouse card to the soccer card. If I have them still around here, I'll show it to you, Neo. Well, there's the soccer card right there. Oh, there it is. So this is the older one. This is the 1931, the Mickey Mouse card. And see, stuff can shift in these PSA cases. But the framing on this 58 Bobby Charlton, see how it's got these big...
Oh, that's way different.
See how it's got these big plastic tubes around it as opposed to like a little framing rectangle. I wish my light was better, but it's a different encasing.
Huh.
And the slab is crystal clear. Like you can
that slab does look really
and
clear.
This has got a bag on it too, a plastic bag over it. So that's a plastic bag over that slab.
That does look clear.
Yeah, so it's definitely a different setup on their tobacco-sized cards. But and it looks like they're using a better, more transparent plastic now as well.
Charles Fuchs in the house, Mr. PMG himself.
PM Jesus.
He's big on the. He could buy a house with his PMGs. I think he's always tagging me in Instagram posts. I'm always jelly. Oh, Emperor! Look at that. I've already seen it. Look at this guy. I think a lot of people want inner sleeves.
No, I don't think they inner sleeved this.
Sharpshooter says eBay sales have been way down for him. Is it the same for you guys? I'm not looking to sell a lot right now, so I really don't have firsthand experience with that. I know I've been buying a lot. I mean, I'm kind of wiped out right now, but I don't know. Are you guys actively trying to move anything right now on eBay?
Is I list stuff, but again, this is smaller stuff, guys. We're talking, eBay standard envelope. I'm listing it to sell it, and it sells.
Yeah, my general follow-up question to anytime someone says my stuff's not moving on eBay is, do you have it priced correctly? If you're 5% above the last comp, unless it's a hot player, it's probably not going to move. If you're 10% below the last comp and you want to actually move the card, then it'll probably sell, depending on the card and the player.
All that I've sold / even listed on eBay since the National has been Teddy Bridgewater stuff, and that all sold, and some Pokemon stuff, and that sold. The only sports cards that I've listed have been on my slabs, and to be quite honest, I'm probably a little overpriced on my slabs. I probably need to come down a little bit, but I'm not in a hurry to sell the stuff. And I realized that my prices were a little bit high, so don't have a lot of experience with selling on eBay since the National. Just haven't put much out there because I believe it's more of a buyer's market than a seller's market at the moment.
The only card I've sold on eBay since the National is a Marvel PSA 10 that I ran at auction, a Spider-Man black suit. Price point you buy Zion base Mosaic at PSA 10. 90 to 110 seems high because I think they comp at 90 or 110. So I would go under that. If you really want one, Jared, DM me on IG. I have one. I would probably sell it. So if you're really in the market for that card, I have a base Zion PSA 10. I think
a lot of people have asked about Mosaic tonight, and we've talked about the base, but I don't think there's much wrong with some of the Mosaic color. Now I know there's a lot of it. Yeah, a nice sneaky card that I like for the Zion on Mosaic is the blue reactive, because it's blue and red. It's a color match, but it's not a color match for every player. So that's the thing. You can't just be like, okay, blue reactives are color matches. Like the orange reactive is a nice color match for the one you were just showing for the John Morant, because that orange it matches the Grizzlies jersey. The
pink NBA debut too. I ripped a lot of that. I have a lot of Mosaic graded because I ripped a lot of Mosaic. I ripped a ton of Mosaic basketball.
AF Alam says he needs to buy Jaren Jackson.
What's that?
AF Alam says he needs to buy Jaren Jackson Jr. Triple J.
This stuff is pretty cheap. So we'll wrap up here. Dakota, you said you have a spicy grading video coming out on Tuesday that's going to get everyone all mad?
Yeah, I got my normal Monday market
review that
I'm going to make after this, but Tuesday I'll be talking about PSA versus SGC. Is SGC closing the gap?
I'm going to say yes to a degree. They probably are, without looking at any data.
Nothing. Go check it out. It's going to be a great video.
Okay, we'll see. Yeah, we'll see on Tuesday, but I'm going to say yes, they probably are. Actually, I know that they are because I just looked. Actually, now that I think about it, I was looking at some stuff for a potential PSA SGC or a potential PSA video that I might also drop on Tuesday. It's not recorded yet, though. But it would be talking. I kind of want to expand on the whole. Remember when we were talking about the whole people are basically buying the slab, not the card, and the whole brand stuff and all that. So maybe I'll hold off and wait to see what yours is, so I don't completely. But I wasn't going to talk price points at all, so we might be different enough. Steve, you have your live stream tomorrow still on the holiday, or are you out of town?
I have that tomorrow, but then I'm going out of town Tuesday, so I probably won't get a video out until Thursday, maybe. I don't even know what I'm going to do it on yet. I got like 5 different things I want to talk about, and I can only talk about one of them. So
you could put out more than one video a week. You know that, right? I know that you
that sounds like a lot of work.
I do enjoy your. I really enjoy your live drive things, even though they're like 10 or 15 minutes.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's how I try to keep touch with the community, because I mean I do work 10-hour shifts, so it's like I go in, and when I get off work, the meat, and it's the meat of the day. It's like noon to 10 at night, so it's like
I thought
doesn't
about
leave me much
maybe
time on the end to do stuff.
trying something like that because I'm in the car all day for work. Like I could do like some 2-hour long live drives as I travel the state of Ohio. But I like the little like 10, 15 minute. I love when you go in the convenience store for the energy drinks.
Oh yeah, that one's when I stop by the post office.
I like when you were talking shit at the lady at the post office while she's like standing right next to you. You're like, this lady got a bunch of stuff. She's been up there forever. What's going on? And you're like standing right beside her.
Oh man, I tell you, man, the worst.
You just gotta push them and then do the pump and dump on them and get them out of the way.
Dude, I tell you, the worst
Throw the finisher on them.
You're waiting in line at the post office and the lady takes forever. She doesn't even have the envelope filled out. She needs the man to help her and all that stuff. And then she's like, okay, I want to get the stamps. And he gives her a book of stamps. And she's like, no, I want the flowers, not the flags. And then she gets and then she does that. And then he totals her up and she's like, oh, let me get my checkbook out. And I'm like,
no, they got to count out exact change.
I'm going to get my energy drinks and coming back to the post office because they'd be up there with the checkbook. I'd be like, what?
I'm lucky. My post office, if you have a prepaid package, you could self-scan and put it in the bin yourself. They have like the drop it in the bin and close it thing, and it drops it behind the thing. But they have a scanner thing, so you still get the receipt.
Nice.
And it still shows that it's scanned in versus just sitting it on the counter and hoping that they scan it in. Because I won't do that with eBay packages. I'm not taking that chance.
Yeah, we have one of those too, but I like to get my receipt sometimes. But I also
this gives you a receipt. When you scan, it gives you the receipt.
Well, I also have a PO box, so I always get like a package in there, and I got to go to the window to get it.
I need to get a PO box. That's one thing I'm slacking.
So I was like, so that's the thing. Most of the time, I'm not even mailing packages. I'm just going there to check my PO box, and then I'll have a package, like the last package when the slab.
Tainted said Steve's going postal at the post office.
Oh man.
One last question. Do you think Zion is underpriced right now? We'll cut out the back half of that, but in general, do you think Zion is underpriced right now? We'll end on this.
Go
ahead.
No, I was just going to say it depends on what prices you're looking at. I mean, there's lots of buy it nows on eBay right now that I don't think are good prices, because if I did, they wouldn't be there. But it's hard to find Zion for sale. It's hard to find Zion at auction. It's hard to find people at shows who want to give him to you at what he's going for at auction, because there's not even really enough auctions to get an accurate comp. And then there's lots of expensive buy it nows. So do I think he's a good player whose prices are probably going to go up from auction comps preseason? I do. But do I think that there's going to be a lot of meat left on the bone if you go in on some of these buy it nows? Maybe not. You're running a higher risk. It's so hard to say is someone underpriced right now, because it's so hard to get an accurate comp unless you're talking about a Prism base that's around $400. For myself, the stuff that I'm looking at is either really highly priced on buy it nows, or there's people just aren't selling it.
My biggest problem with him, and then I'll throw it to you, Dakota, is I don't think they're going to make the playoffs this year. So if you buy now, you have to probably try to sell him in season, and then I think you could buy back the dip later next summer, because I don't see the Pelicans making the playoffs. Or if they do, they're like a play-in team at best. Like, they're not going to go far. They're going to get smoked in the first round or something, even if they get to that point, because the West is loaded again. It's really good, and I don't think the Pelicans are that good of a basketball team. They probably got worse again this offseason. So that's always a problem with the NBA. You really need the playoffs to get those prices to go next level. And even if people are saying like he's generational talent and everything like that, I get that. But how long do you want to hold him to hit that peak if you just keep moving in and out of them?
I just feel like if it's kind of like Giannis didn't win a title. He's been around since 2013, so 8 seasons. He won a couple MVPs that drove his market. He played great. Everybody knew he was a stud that kept his market strong. Zion's marketable. He's not just a good player. He's marketable. People follow him. He's got the haircut and everything. Like people are talking about him being a generational talent. And Pelican games get on TV just because he plays for the Pelicans. And if he comes out and does 25-10 and makes another all-star team, 2 all-star teams in 3 seasons, barring his rookie season when he didn't even play half the year, people are going to take him seriously regardless of what team he's on, because they're going to be like, okay, he's either going to break through with the Pelicans or they're going to move him. This rookie contract is going to be up and he's going to go to a contender and they're going to make a super team with him. They're going to put him on the Bucks with Giannis or something like that. And then it's going to be crazy hysteria.
Yeah, I just think if you're willing to hold him to that point, just wait and buy in next year, like next summer. Because I don't think this year is going to have a big price spike. To Kenny G's point here, there is zero chance an NBA player would ever win an MVP without making the playoffs. It's other than Russell Westbrook when he had the triple-double season, he's the only player to win an MVP, I think, that wasn't on one of the 2 or 3 best teams in the league. And to circle back to something you mentioned real quick about Giannis winning the title, I forget what podcast I heard it on. I think it was one of the Ringer ones, that Giannis was the youngest superstar on his team age-wise to win a title. So, like, that kind of puts that in perspective. Like, we spec on Luka and Ja and Zion and now LaMelo and all this and the other thing. And it still took Giannis, who's an absolutely amazing player, almost 8 years to win, or what, his rookie year was 2013, right? So, yeah, 7-8 years before he won his first title. So, you filter back around, like even Jason Tatum's 2017, that's still another 2-3 years before he would potentially be in that range to lead a team to a title. Those young guys, they take a while in the NBA to get to that level. They're really good, but I think it's a matter of getting the rest of the team around them and stuff. You just don't see that very often.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we not last season, but I mean, we've seen the Celtics in the Eastern Conference Finals. They were beat by the Heat, and then the Heat lost to the Lakers. But I don't think a lot of people laugh at me when I say this because they think I'm a homer, but I don't think the Celtics are but a piece away from being very competitive in the East.
I think they're a solid 5th seed right now, and they could be the 4th seed, assuming health across the board on all the teams. Like, not detracting from any one team one way or the other. The East is just really deep, and I love Jaylen Brown and I love Jason Tatum, but I do agree with you overall. I think they are. I don't know what the piece is, but I think they are a piece away too. Probably a point guard.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Kemba left, and I think that was a good move for the team because he was too inconsistent. Just frees up more shots for the guys who should be taking the shots for the team. Kemba would go out and score 30 and then come out and score 4 and be like, 2 for 20 from the field in the playoffs. You know what I mean? It just would kill us.
Any hot Zion takes, Dakota?
Y'all covered it. I'm not buying him. If I thought he was underpriced, I'd be buying it, and I'm not. So my actions say I don't think he is.
I just think there's better people to buy in the NBA right now than Zion. I always go back to you only have so much money to throw around, chase guys that have a better chance to spike. And Zion could legitimately spike, but I think if he spikes, it'll come back down to like where it's at now, most likely by the end of the season, because I just don't see them making the playoffs. So, all right, we'll wrap up on that. Oh, go ahead, Steve, if you got one last thing.
I was just going to say, I should have touched on it like that because I was dancing around price points and stuff. Zion, I'm not personally buying Zion. I own some Zion stuff acquired through trade because I do believe in his stuff. But again, there was other places I would rather put my money because the price points were better. It's been Donovan Mitchell and Jason Tatum, a little bit of Michael Porter Jr. for me. But that doesn't mean I don't think Zion is great. I just would like to see a little bit of a better entry level on him.
Yeah. So check out Dakota's market recap video tomorrow and his spicy grading video on Tuesday. Check out Steve's live stream tomorrow night, and then whatever his video is later in the week. And then I have David from Comic Book Investments on the channel tomorrow, who is a comic book dealer. So feel free to check that out. And then I have no idea what Tuesday's video is. We'll figure it out tomorrow. So Dakota and Steve, thanks for hanging out for a while on the live stream. And we'll catch you guys and girls on the next one. Peace.
Later.